Barrio Tacos is now open right in the heart of the Ohio State campus at 15th and High, serving tacos. Barrio Tacos is now open right in the heart of the Ohio State campus at 15th and High. Serving tacos and margaritas late night each night, Barrio has an incredible happy hour with half-off margs and $1 off tacos weekdays from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Don't forget, Barrio accepts Buck ID and is offering to-go and DoorDash. You can also catch Barrio. Barrio Tacos is now open right in the heart of the Ohio State.
We got the lineups too.
Sweet.
Welcome you guys into another day at the United Center. Day 4 and semifinal Big Ten men's basketball tournament here. Chicago, Austin Crume, Sara Sharp, Caleb Spinner to my left. He will be here in the second half. You'll actually be able to see him for the first time in 4 days. I know Caleb's excited about that. We're excited about that to give him some reps here, but this game, very unexpected, Sarah. I don't think any Ohio State fan assumed to be here against #1 Purdue.
No, and like you said, very unexpected as they have won their last 3 games in the tournament, first against Wisconsin, Iowa, and then Michigan State, and now going up against #1 ranked Purdue. So their biggest challenge of the tournament so far.
I mean, definitely their biggest challenge of the tournament. And Purdue sitting at number 5 in the entire country itself, going into the big dance next week. I don't think they expected to see the number 13 seed come in here. They probably expected, let's be real here, number 5 Iowa or number 4 Michigan State, because those two teams have just played so dominantly all season. And honestly, dominated Ohio State as well. I mean, the regular season Ohio State Buckeyes are so different from what they're looking like here. They're not even the same team. They're down multiple players. So Zed Key, and you got Bryce Sensabaugh out for the season as of this morning. So he's going to be done for that. And you got some older guys, Justice Sewing. He's been running 4 days straight, 40 minutes almost as well. So you got to make sure he's not getting hurt as well. What does Ohio State have to do in this point to be able to beat Purdue and move on to the championship game tomorrow?
Well, they have to do exactly what they've done this entire tournament, which is have other players come out and step up with the loss of players like Bryce Sensabaugh. So, for example, Roddy Gale Jr. had an amazing game for Ohio State last night. The freshman had 15 points, 3 rebounds. So he went out and scored when he actually only averages about 3.8 points a game, so a huge scoring game for him. He had 9 in the day before against Iowa as well. Justice Stewing, like you said, had 14 points, and then Bruce Thornton with 4 rebounds, 6 assists, and 21 points. Felix Okpara, 8 rebounds, 8 points. So they need to play exactly like they played against Michigan State yesterday and play solid defense against the Big Ten Player of the Year, Zach Edey.
I think 100% Felix Okpara is going to be the player to watch today. Not one of those guys who's going to burst the stat sheet with 15 rebounds, 20 points like Zach Edey, arguably the best player, if not the best big man in the country at this moment. But they faced each other a little bit a few months ago. Felix Okpara got 30 minutes against Zach Edey. Zach Edey, a guy who averages 21.7 and 12.8 rebounds while shooting on 60%, was held to only 16 points against a freshman Felix Okpara who, up to that point, had never gotten more than 20 minutes a game. So to go up against such a powerhouse like Edey and such a powerhouse team like Purdue itself, he looked great. And he's feeling way more comfortable now. I mean, we've seen his blocks been getting way and way better and everything along those lines. And he's just looking more confident and more dominant on the paint. So you can assume that he's going to do well tomorrow, especially with how well Purdue was held yesterday by Rutgers defense.
And it's insane to say that holding a player to 16 points is a solid defensive game, but when you're playing against somebody like Zach Edey, that is solid defense. And a lot of times with the Purdue team, they are a strong team, but he is their predominant scorer. So if they can go out and shut down Zach Edey, but then also not allow another player to get hot, because we saw that with Mason Gillis last night. He had a huge game. He averages 6.8, and he had 20 points yesterday against Rutgers. So shut down Zach Edey, and then don't allow another player to go out, step up, and get hot against the Buckeyes today.
Yeah, 100%, especially when you're talking about Purdue and Mason Gillis. Like you had said, 6.8 points. So when he came out yesterday and fireballed for 20 while going 2 for 3 from beyond the arc and 7 of 8 overall, it looked incredible. And then 9 rebounds as well. He's a guy who you're going to assume realistically at a max might give you 15 a night. So when Edey was getting held down in that first half, there was a time for a little bit where Rutgers looked like they had the upper hand, only down by 1.5. It was 29-28 going into halftime with Purdue up 1. In the second half, Purdue just opened it all out, and Gillis himself, he just felt it and had the hot hand. He's one of those guys today. I would assume, realistically, if Ohio State wants to stop him, you put a guy who's been really hot recently like Roddy Gale Jr. on him. His defense has been superb, and who really knows what can happen today? Defense is going to be the main factor in this one. You're going to have good defense at the 1 and 5 for both teams. But there's 3 minutes to play, and I think we actually got some starters that we can give to you guys. So Ohio State starters going to look very similar to yesterday's. So you're going to have Roddy Gale at the 2, Bruce Thornton at the 1. Sean McNeil at the 3. Only had about 5 points yesterday. Didn't do too well on 38 minutes. Justice Suing the 4, and Felix Akpara anchoring it down at the 5. And then for Purdue, you got Fletcher Lawyer at the 1, Braden Smith the 2, Brandon Newman at the 3, Mason Gillis the 4, and Godzilla himself, Zach Edey at the 5. 7'4" frame. It's going to be pretty difficult to stop him.
It is, and you talked about solid defense by a player like Roddy Gale, or even Ice Likely as well. He's been playing tough defense. He doesn't really pad your stat sheet, but he goes out there, he hustles, and he works hard for the Buckeyes, just pestering any of the offensive players as well. And right now, for Ohio State, they need to step back and see. They know for sure Zach Edey is going to go out and he's going to score because he is a presence for Purdue. But after Zach Edey's 21 points, the next average is 11. And so Mason Gillis had a strong game last night. You have to keep him in mind. But as of now, don't go out and face guard him to begin with, because there's a possibility that he's not going to score that many points again tonight. It could be somebody else. Don't
face guard and just play the best defense of your life. About 2 minutes and 25 seconds until tip-off. We're going to step away for just a second. Be back in about a minute for tip-off here on SGSR TV.
Barrio Tacos is now open right in the heart of the Ohio State campus at 15th and High. Serving tacos and margaritas late night each night, Barrio has an incredible happy hour with half-off margs and $1-off tacos weekdays from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Don't forget, Barrio accepts Buck ID and is offering to-go and DoorDash. You can also catch Barrio Tacos inside the shoe during game days at Section 10A and at their taco truck Mondays to Fridays, parked right outside the RPAC.
Tune into the Block O Show, presented by Barrio Tacos, for an inside look at the 2022-23 Ohio State football season. Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio team of football broadcasters previews each week of the Buckeyes football season, featuring opposing reporters from student journalists across the country. Listen to the Block O Show, presented by Barrio Tacos, every Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time on the Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio Podcast Network.
Hi, this is Caleb Spinner.
And this is Tyler Danberg.
Together, we co-host the Ohio State of Mind, Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio's podcast covering all things Ohio State athletics. Join us Mondays and Fridays as we recap and preview every Ohio State sporting event from the past week.
We also talk to current and former Buckeye athletes in our interview series Behind the Buckeye. Follow the Ohio State of Mind on Twitter at State of Mind.
Back to some play in about 45 seconds here on SGSR TV. Ohio State, number 13, came in on a Wednesday, still here on a Saturday. Purdue came in yesterday. They're at number 1, their first game. They look dominant. Both teams looking dominant, though. We got to see who keeps the hot hand in this, whether it's been 4 days of play or 1 day of play. Both teams are going to go out and give everything they got. It could be upset city here in Chicago if Ohio State can take a massive win over Purdue. But I don't think anybody can count this team out at this point. Ohio State's just been playing with some different fire recently.
You absolutely cannot count the Buckeyes out. They had a rough season, a rough regular season, but then ended it 2 of 3. They had 2 of 3 of their last 3 games they won, and then they've come into this tournament 3-0. So they're playing with a completely different energy, a different fire so far in this tournament. They've had 3 upsets, already in this tournament, and they could make it a 4th.
They definitely could, the way they've been playing. And for those of you who aren't necessarily aware, Ohio State was ranked 13th clearly just based on this and had almost 0 shot to make the big dance. The only way they could go on dancing in March and next week would be if they win the Big Ten championship, because the champion of every conference is guaranteed a ticket to the big dance. So they really have to show out here for these next 2 games potentially, but they can't focus on tomorrow. They have to focus today. This for them should be their championship game, going up against the best team in their conference, a team they only lost to by 2 just a few months ago.
And that's one of the points I was going to bring up, is in their second showing against Purdue, it was a rough game. Purdue beat them handily, but in the first game of the season against Purdue, they only did lose by 2 points, and Purdue was just as strong of a team then as they are now. So Ohio State has the potential, we've seen it so far in the regular season, to come out here and make it a game and possibly a win.
Caleb, I'm going to have to ask you a question here. What do you think is the biggest key for Ohio State if they are going to want to do well in this one? and his mic is actually not connected, so we're just going to actually bring it back to us. It looked like he was mouthing it's not working, so we're just going to go back. My biggest guess, though, is that Zach Edey is going to have to do so well today. I mean, a guy who we had said he averages 21.7, so anything below that is looked at as incredible, but yesterday had 16. That's what he was held to in that first game when Akpara guarded him, and 16 points is incredible. So seeing it as a negative and as a downturn for Edey is kind of disrespectful, but then you realize this guy has the highest potential to be the #1 overall pick in the NBA draft in just a few months, and it honestly makes sense that people see 16 and aren't as surprised when a guy who can average 30 for 5 games straight happens.
Exactly. He is held to such a high standard that 16 points is not a solid game for him. And Rutgers did an amazing job playing defense on him last night. If Ohio State can do the same, it's going to be a close game, just like the game yesterday. But, again, they need to not allow players like Mason Gillis or Braden Smith or any of your other players who will go out and can score to go out and step up and play an insane game. Not only on the scoring end as well, but Mason Gillis with his 9 rebounds after only averaging 3.7 this season. So shut down Zach Edey and don't let another player come out and get hot.
Luckily for Ohio State, this is the worst 3-point shooting team they have faced in the last 3 days, this being the 4th. Purdue only shoots 32% from beyond the arc, so good for them, but you still can't count anybody out. If you could shoot 30% or above on average, you can make at least 4 to 5 a game. And with a guy like Edey at 7'4", if you miss, he doesn't have to jump. He just moves his arms. His wingspan is absolutely monstrous. It's like propellers on an airplane at this point. So he's just going to sit there and not really even move, but Ohio State's defense, that's their biggest ticket so far.
And assuming that Ohio State is going to come out, because you said this is the worst 3-point scoring team that Ohio State has gone up against, they will come out focusing on that center defense because of Zach Edey inside. But we saw Iowa, who was a great 3-point team, not score very well from outside the arc, so you never know. It is March.
Defense is key as both teams are setting up here in the Big Ten tournament logo in center court, and let's do it here from the United Center. Tip's about to go up, and it is, and won by Akpara and Ohio State. Immediately being pressed on defense by Purdue as Sean McNeil is now running the ball, standing at center court, straight up, calling for a screen on the left by Akpara. Hits to Akpara. First shot of the game is a 3 by him. Air balls. That is not a good start for Ohio State.
Probably not the best shooting choice for Ohio State. You had more time on the clock, swing it around, find a better option. And also, Zach Edey has lost a tip on his last 2 games.
Might be something to think about, but they also did win yesterday, so you can't really look too far into that one now. As Braden Newman now passes the ball to his teammate, back to him. Pump fake, 3, right wing. And he sinks it, and it is 3-0 early just after 25 seconds.
And what did we say? It is March. You never know. They could come out here and score from the 3-point line. Defense by Justice Suing not as great there as he jumped too early on the defense for that shot.
Seems to be a common occurrence so far. Ohio State jumping a bit too early, and it's not good for them as Suing now on the left wing passes center to Akpara again. Edey letting him stay at the 3, passes to Thornton, drives inside, right hand lob to Akpara, and he gets it down with the right hand. 3-2 now with 19 to go.
And they love that lob, and they're probably going to leave Akpara open on the 3-point line and dare him to shoot that shot, so he needs to have the awareness to maybe let that one go.
Mason Gillis now, we know how well he did yesterday, calling for an ISO on Suing. Hits to Edey at the top of the key, passes to Fletcher Lawyer, the freshman, passes to his left, back to Gillis, pump fake, back to Fletcher, his 3, no good. Oh no, bounces in. He's got the shooter's touch. It is 6-2 Purdue early.
Purdue already 2 for 2 from the 3-point line.
Thornton now being pressed, just gets past half court. Purdue's defense really looking good so far in this. One of their things that we've seen them do so well, even with as well as they've done, and there's been an offensive foul on Suing, hits an elbow into Mason Gillis, and Purdue gets the ball back so far.
And Justice Suing needs to be careful with his fouling. Again, he is a crucial part to this Ohio State team with his scoring, with his rebounding, and his effort. So do not foul early and take yourself out of this game.
They actually do call that on Sean McNeil instead. So that will not be on Suing. Good for him. And as we say that, there's a travel by Purdue and by Brandon Newman. So Ohio State's going to retain this one and get it back.
And Purdue, like we said, 2 for 2 from the 3-point line, but also those are the only 2 shots they've taken. So 2 for 2 in general from the field goal.
Bruce Thornton now still being guarded heavy by Brandon Newman. Has to call for a high screen by Okpara, looking for a fake lob, and Okpara isn't there, held up on defense, but last touch by Mason Gillis, and Ohio State retains the ball.
And they love that lob to Okpara, and when it works, but sometimes they try to force it a little bit too much. Look for a better option there instead of trying to get the lob every time.
Ohio State hasn't been known as lob U, so to speak, until the past few games. Might be one of their new checks to see if they can get something open. As Sean McNeil, right jumper, no good, but a rebound off the hands of Sewing into the hands of Braden Smith, and he's running quick at the top of the key. Nobody on him. Gale now picks up on him, looking for a shot into Edey. Right hook over Okpara, and nothing you can do about that. 8-2 Purdue early.
And if you allow the ball into Zach Edey, chances are he is going to score. And Ohio State also did not double down on the defense on Edey down low.
They can't afford to do it, knowing that Mason Gillis could still have the hot hand after yesterday. Thornton driving in right side, right-handed off the glass. Okpara with the tip in, and that's 2 more points for Ohio State and 2 more for Okpara.
Okpara with 8 points last night. He already has half of that with 4 a couple minutes into the first half.
Braden Smith now going one-on-one against Thornton, has to pass inside to Edey. Edey again, another hook over Okpara, and he's going to abuse that shot. It is 10-4 with just under 17 to go.
The Buckeyes need to adjust on defense, or that's going to be scary and the game's going to get away from them.
Zach Edey, that's one of those easy shots for him. Doesn't really have to jump or move, just kind of flick his hand to the right, and he's got it in. So Okpara's really going to have to put his hands up. Speaking of Okpara, now holding the ball top of the key. Hits it to Gale Jr., drives inside with the right. Fouled, and it won't go in. So there are 2 shots for Gale, and hopefully Ohio State can break back into this deficit.
And Zach Edey, like you said, it's an easy shot for him down low, but he is also so incredibly accurate with that shot. And so it's most likely going to go in when he puts it up, especially with Okpara on him and Ohio State not trying to double down or face guard him.
That will be a personal foul on Gillis, his first. So Purdue not going to be super happy about that. You're going to want him to play crucial minutes as Gale misses the first off the front iron. Ohio State, they're not looking like they have in the past few games, but then again, this is against number 1 Purdue.
This is a completely different animal with Zach Edey and with this strong team.
Second shot is up, and he drops it, so he luckily made one. It is 10-5 Purdue with 16:30 to go. As Braden Smith is now being guarded by about 74 feet by Roddy Gale Jr., and he's still really being guarded heavy at the half-court logo. Drives in left side, can get past him, but Okpara is on him. Hits it inside to Edey. Okpara playing the best defense, and he's able to play great defense and get the rebound just off the rim, and Ohio State will get back on offense.
Good defense by Okpara, but got a bit lucky that Edey missed that shot.
Okpara is being allowed to have a lot of space at the 3 as he switches it to Gale. Isolation over to Sewing. Left wing 3. Bang, bang. And he's got it. That's his first 3 and first shot in this. 10-8 Purdue with 15:50 to go.
The Buckeyes have been stronger from the 3-point line in this tournament as well.
Braden Smith driving inside. Hits it to Edey at the free throw line. Hits it to his back from Fletcher. Back into Edey, and he's fouled and the and one.
I believe that, I don't know if that was a foul or it might have been a travel on Edey, but a bit of miscommunication there by Ohio State as they actually left Edey wide open down low and forced Sean McNeil on the mismatch to pick him up on help side. So huge miscommunication there by the Buckeyes, and something you cannot let happen with a player like Zach Edey.
So the official scoring on the floor is Sean McNeil, his second personal foul in this one. Ohio State's second as well. McNeil is definitely going to have to calm down with this. He's one of those guys who, when he comes off the bench, looks incredible. Not the greatest when it comes to starter minutes, though. Not really ever been his role, whether it was West Virginia or community college. So he's one of these guys who's better when he comes as the 6-man and not at the 2 or 3. So he might be feeling a little bit more pressure, especially realizing he's going to have to help the double team when Zach Edey gets into the post.
And that one, you can't really blame McNeil for it. Again, he got caught on the mismatch. That's a huge size difference for him against Edey, and he did his best to try to defend him, but it's so difficult with the size difference between him and Edey to play solid defense.
So it actually seems as well that that foul on Edey, they may not have counted the basket because it should be 12-8, but it is still 10-8 here after the media timeout, or the media timeout's still going on, but the scorers table is kind of looking over what's going on, so they still might be confused, and they may have something to do with the timeout being called very soon after. So Edey may either take those free throw shots after the timeout is over, or they may not count it at all. It's a little bit unsure at this point. We're just going to have to kind of wait and see here.
The refs so far looking it over and discussing. So once we figure out what is going on, we will let you know. Zach Edey again with 4 points today for the Boilermakers. So he's on par for a solid game, only 5 minutes in. Again, averaging over 20 points and 12 rebounds. Right now he has no rebounds, so Ohio State has at least shut him down in that area.
They've shut him down in that area, but the 2 shots he's gotten so far was 2 post hooks over Felix Okpara, 2 shots that we've seen him do so much. And the center for Rutgers, Cliff Amori, guarded him so well yesterday, and they're both the same height, Okpara and Amori, both 6'11". Neither of them the most muscular of guys, but they will play great, back down defense, and they won't back down against these heavier opponents. But Okpara, he's putting his hands up to try and stop him, and Edey just kind of throws it. Like, he's not really even trying. And it's just banking off and going in. So early Edey is looking good, but still 2 for 3, and he did have that one great contested rebound.
And that's where the height difference just makes it so difficult for Okpara, is he's putting his hands up like you said, but he's still able to get it over because of just how tall he is. And you also talked about the defending against him yesterday, and that's one of the biggest things that Okpara will hopefully help him in the offseason, is gaining some more muscle and some more strength in the offseason to come back next year. He's still young, and hopefully be able to play stronger defense against these bigger men.
A full offseason for Okpara is going to do him such good, especially getting his new positioning of what it's going to look like as being the starting 5 for the time being, even with Zed Key still coming back. A guy like Sewing will be gone next year, so Key might move into the 4 with Okpara being at the 5. As Purdue is now going to inbound from the right baseline, passes into Edey, and he's double-teamed immediately, but a dunk by Caleb First, the recent check-in, and he's going to get points quick.
So they called that one on the floor. The foul was on the floor before Edey's shot. That's why it didn't count. And great presence by him to get the ball to his open player.
Ice likely recent checks in, lobs it again to Okpara. Okpara has 6 points in this one, and it is 12-10 Purdue leads.
A bit of a different game than Rutgers last night, as Okpara is able to score inside more than Rutgers was yesterday against Purdue.
Okpara looking more comfortable. A 3 by Braden Smith, and it's the bottom of the net. He hits that 15-10 with just over 15 to go. Both teams are scoring really well, but still definitely a close one.
And Purdue still perfect from the 3-point line, 3 for 3.
Isaac Likely, a.k.a. Ice, the recent check-in on the left block, being double-teamed, looking for an open teammate, hits Gale, other side of the court, 3-pointer, bottoms, and it is 15-13 with 14:45 to go.
And Roddy Gale Jr.'s 3-point shooting has been amazing in the tournament. His confidence has really grown.
Roddy Gale Jr. playing like a different man in this so far, and Zach Edey was being held really far back, actually at Curry range almost by Okpara, but Okpara runs right into him, so it'll be a foul on him.
And not the smartest move by Okpara. Again, we talked about how crucial he is to be able to go out and defend Zach Edey, as there isn't really anybody that's tall enough to do that.
And that's all you can really ask for a guy like Okpara. Give it your best, but there's not much you can really do. As Purdue is about to inbound real quickly here, it looks like Ethan Morton also just checked in at this point. He got some good minutes yesterday, about 20, and he will be expected to have some good taste. As there's a pass inside from Edey, and Edey hits it to First, and First another dunk for him, his 4th point, and it is 17-13 Purdue with 14 to go.
And Eugene Brown is now on Edey as Okpara subs out, and he played solid defense, but nobody is picking up the open man when they double team on Zach Edey.
Ice likely drives in, but hits to Sewing. Sewing passes to Gale, right corner 3. He's got that one too. His second 3 in this one, and it is 17-16. Ohio State staying in it.
Roddy Gale Jr., 7 points so far today.
Gale staying up on defense, but had his ankles broken, slipping and sliding by Braden Smith. Smith looking inside, hits Edey, but there will be a call on the floor, so a bit unsure what happened. Looks like a foul so far on that.
I think they called that one on Eugene Brown as he was trying to defend Zach Edey.
And you can see right now, I don't mean to butt in, guys, but
You're all
you can
good.
see over on the sideline, Chris Holtmann was going back to that first foul on Okpara and then on Eugene Brown, both of them against Zach Edey. He was telling him, back off. Don't play him too physically. They're going to call that on him every time.
Thank you, Caleb, for that input. That'll definitely be needed, especially once you're in play-by-play. The fact that you're keeping up with us, we really mean a lot. Edey being triple-teamed in the paint, chucks up a shot and misses, but gets a rebound by First, and he goes up with it on Sewing, and it is 19-16 Purdue. First is looking really good in the paint.
And he's been the issue for Ohio State because every time Zach Edey is double-teamed, he is aware and he is down and ready to get the pass from Edey and put the shot back up.
Thornton swings to Gale. Gale to Sewing, right block. Going up against First, one-on-one in the post here. Going for a shot. Fader from the free throw line. Banks and just misses. Rebound by First and Purdue. Purdue now running the ball. Their recent check-in running it is David Jenkins Jr. He got some minutes. He gives it inside to Edey. Edey chucks one up, but great defense by Eugene Brown. Only at 6'7", so there's definitely a height advantage from Edey, but just good all-around defense from Ohio State.
And again, just a little bit of luck as that was a good shot by Edey, just didn't quite put it in. It was a little too strong off the backboard.
Ice likely throws, finds Gale again. Open three, that right side. He loves it. He's got another one. Come on now, 19-19. Ohio State has tied it.
Roddy Gale Jr. is on fire. He is 3 for 3 in all of his shots, not only from the three-point line. He is now at double digits, 10 points for the Buckeyes.
Gale Jr. on David Jenkins Jr., and he's getting thrown all around, and that will be a charging foul on Jenkins Jr. Gale gets it, and Ohio State gets the ball back.
Gale Jr. has just been amazing for the Buckeyes, and he is continuing that today. Really stepped up to his role as a freshman in this tournament.
Gale Jr., a guy we saw a few nights ago, had 9 points, 7 of them going quick. Last night played really well. He's got 10 points early, and he's shooting 3 for 3 from the field, and all of those being three-pointers. He's feeling the hot hand.
And not only with his offense as well, his defense has been amazing today. I mean, he pulls that one charge, and he has just been all over the court, pestering players on the Purdue team. And it looks like Tanner Holden is going to check in for the Ohio State Buckeyes for Justice Sewing.
Holden checked in yesterday, didn't get many minutes after not playing in the first 2 games, but hit a really clutch three-pointer that helped Ohio State's lead kind of grow after they were facing a really good Michigan State defense. As Ice likely now is abusing the defense of Purdue and counted and won.
Ice likely too getting some points in for the Buckeyes. Last night he had 2 points, so he is already tied and has the opportunity to get one more than what he scored yesterday.
It looks like all the guys who we had seen so far throughout the year stepping up when they need it. Holtmann, whatever he's been saying to these guys, they're feeling really good. Whether it's on the offensive side of the ball or the defensive side, they are really playing like a different team that we've seen for the last few months.
And that's what makes this Ohio State team so dangerous when they do perform well, is there are so many different threats. Everybody on the team can score.
And likely misses that, so it won't be a three-point play, but still gets a foul on Purdue. So you got to be happy about that one, as David Jenkins Jr. is running the ball up and throws it to Trey Kaufman-Renn, the freshman who just checked in as well. He's getting his first minutes in this kind of a tournament, as it's back inside to Renn after a pass to First. He's looking for any shot he can get. Hits it to Fletcher Lawyer. He passes it to his right to Brandon Newman. And it is tipped by Ohio State, but Purdue gets it back. 5 on the shot clock. Driving inside. Jumper. Newman fakes it inside to Trey Kaufman-Renn, and he will get a shot, but it looks like a foul.
That's another charge, another offensive charge on Ohio State, and great presence. We talked about Ice Likely's defense and just hustling today and every other day in the tournament so far. And there again, great presence to set up, stay square, and get the charge.
Ice Likely, you couldn't have said it any better. His defense has been phenomenal in these past few games. But there is another media timeout on the floor, so we are actually going to step away for just a minute. 21-19, Ohio State leads it. Who would have seen this one? 11:39 to go here in the first half on SGSR TV.
Barrio Tacos is now open right in the heart of the Ohio State campus at 15th and High. Serving tacos and margaritas late night each night, Barrio has an incredible happy hour with half-off margs and $1 off tacos weekdays from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Don't forget, Barrio accepts Buck ID and is offering to-go and DoorDash. You can also catch Barrio Tacos inside the shoe during game days at Section 10A and at their taco truck Mondays to Fridays, parked right outside the RPAC.
Tune into the Block O Show, presented by Barrio Tacos, for an inside look at the 2022-23 Ohio State football season. Scarlet and Gray sports radio team of football broadcasters previews each week of the Buckeyes football season, featuring opposing reporters from student journalists across the country. Listen to the Block O Show, presented by Barrio Tacos, every Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time on the Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio Podcast Network.
Hi, this is Caleb Spinner.
And this is Tyler Danberg.
Together, we co-host the Ohio State of Mind, Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio's podcast covering all things Ohio State athletics. Join us Mondays and Fridays as we recap and preview every Ohio State sporting event from the past week.
We also talk to current and former Buckeye athletes in our interview series Behind the Buckeye. Follow the Ohio State of Mind on Twitter at State of Mind OSU for more information on the show.
We hope to see you there, but for now, that's the ad. We're out of here.
Hey, Buckeye fans.
We are back, SGSR TV, here at the United Center in Chicago, Illinois. And Caleb, I don't know if you're actually ready for this at this point, but you have been doing some trivia for us. So do you happen to have any questions? I know it's a bit on the fly here, but we're trying to get into the positives when it comes to the win column of trivia questions.
Well, I can pull some up here. I was not expecting it at the moment, but it's
Okay.
a few taps on my phone, so it's not like it's too hard to do here.
Shout out to Caleb's family, by the way.
For you here.
Caleb's grandpa gave us some great trivia questions, too, and sent them to Caleb yesterday.
All right, what is it?
Yeah, exactly. Shout out Chuck Spinner. Shout out my grandpa, history teacher at Normandy and Shaker, so he's got the facts here.
All right, let's hear
I
it.
told you this one already. The Purdue mascot, Boilermaker named
Yes.
Pete. Yeah, that's
Yes.
what I was looking for. Purdue has won the most Big Ten basketball championships. How many?
Okay.
I will say, I'll just give you a hint as the teams are coming out on the floor. It's in the 20s.
24.
26.
Split the difference.
25?
I thought 25
we
was
both got
too
around.
basic. Oh, dang it.
Thank you for that, Caleb. And maybe I'll try to find some trivia once you're on play-by-play, see if I can find anything in that second half. But play's going to resume here as it is 21-19, Ohio State, with 11:35 to go, as Ice Likely is bringing the ball up now and hits it to Sewing about 45 feet out. Hits it to Gale on his right, back to Sewing. Eugene Brown gets a screen for Ice Likely. Inside backdoor cut from Gale, who misses it. Hits it to Holden, swing it all around the perimeter. And Eugene Brown throws it down. He's got an education and elevation, 23-19, Ohio State.
Wow, what a dunk by Eugene Brown there. He put it down with authority and had the awareness that Edie was not inside. You can take it in.
Ohio State, they've been looking way better on the inside offense so far, and this is Sewing is playing absolutely great trap defense on Gillis. Finally gets it away, hits it to David Jenkins Jr. He's driving inside. Turn around, stop, pop. No good. Rebound by Holden, but actually tipped and hit by Likely. And Likely now moving the ball up on the right side of the floor, seeing what he can find. Being guarded by Brandon Newman. Now being switched. Newman still on him. Throws to left corner. Holden. He's holding the ball. Hits it to Sewing. Sewing back to Ice Likely. Got 15 seconds on the shot clock. Seeing what he can find. Getting double teamed, but no one's on him. Sewing thinking of a three. He's on the right wing looking. Going for jab. Step back three. Oh no. And it's a miss, but a rebound by Eugene Brown. Swings it again. Gale, another three, right corner. He's got the hot hand. He cannot be stopped. 26-19, Ohio State with 10:15 to go.
Roddy Gale, 4 for 4 from field goal and three-pointer. He's had only three-pointers today, and then his free throws as well, so 13 points for him.
Ice Likely playing incredible defense on Brandon Smith. Has to pass it into Trey Kaufman-Wren. He's on the post against Eugene Brown. Brown's defense looking great, but a foul call on him and just missed an and one for Trey Kaufman-Wren, but he will get 2 at the line.
Eugene Brown now has 2 player fouls, I believe, and it'll be interesting to see if Ohio State will leave him in, and then once Zach Edey comes back into the game, rotate him out with Okpara.
Eugene Brown is a guy who hasn't gotten many minutes so far in these past few games, but this is a game where you're going to need him to step up. His defense is looking superb so far. And Trey Kaufman-Wren, he's one of these rookies who hasn't played much. So when you look at his overall stats, he shoots 63 from the line, which is good for a big man. But as a freshman who hasn't gotten minutes so far, there could be a little bit more nerves even after sinking the first one.
Absolutely, especially in an arena like this. It's just so much more of a daunting task to go out and perform from the line. We saw it with Ohio State this entire tournament. When the crowd is loud, it's a huge arena at United Center. it makes it a little more daunting.
Yeah, 20,000 people deep is what it can hold. And we're seeing a lot of people here in the upper bowl as well, probably around 16 to 17,000 as the second shot from Kaufman-Wren goes in, and it is 26-21 Ohio State with 9:59 to go. Looks like there may be some whistles gone, but it's actually just Holtmann talking to the referee.
And he sinks his 2 shots, and then he subs back out. Zach Edey is back in the game, and so is Felix Okpara, so they did sub him back out for Eugene Brown.
That switch is one of the things we're going to have to see as Bruce Thornton now calls for a screen by Okpara, top of the key on the right. Calls for another one, gets down on one knee and saves his dribble, actually, driving inside. But there is a call on the floor, and it looks like it is going to go against Purdue.
And that is just on the defense against Bruce Thornton. It is number 5, Brandon Newman, for the Boilermakers with that foul.
Yeah, also another one of those guys, Brandon Newman, averages only about 5.9 a game, so nothing too crazy, but you want him to get points. As Gale and Thornton passing the ball around on the right side of the floor. Thornton now drive inside, right elbow J, no good, and rebound by David Jenkins Jr.
And Bruce Thornton so far with 0 points. He's had double digits the entire tournament, so quiet so far.
Brandon Newman now driving inside, but defense great by Ohio State. Ball's on the floor, and there's a scrum. Who's going to come up with it? Call on the floor, still a bit unsure, but the way that the Ohio State bench is clapping, it looks like it's going to be theirs.
Looks like it, either they retrieved it or it was a jump ball. The refs are now discussing to give us the correct call on that one.
It also looks like Purdue is getting most of their main guys back in the game. They got Gillis, Smith, Newman, Jenkins Jr., and Edey, so they're definitely going to run that lineup that they know, especially with Ohio State being up by 5 with about 9:20 to go.
And it was a jump ball. Possession goes to Purdue, so it will be Boilermakers ball.
A similar thing had actually happened against Okpara. He was at the bottom of the scrum, and he was doing something really similar at the end of the Wisconsin game where it looked like he had come up with it, and then Wisconsin had gotten the ball, so maybe he's just got to work on those as there's an inbound there to Fletcher Lawyer, who's back in. He just checked in. Lawyer over to Brandon Smith at the top of the key, being guarded by Gale from 3. Calls for a fake screen, hits it inside to Edey. Goes for a shot, being triple teamed, up off the glass, and no good, and rebounded by Tanner Holden and the Buckeyes.
What defense by Ohio State on Edey so far. He only has 4 points.
Their defense looking good. That's what Ohio State needs, is to keep Edey off of the paint and off of the scorecard. As Thornton now is dribbling up on the left side, left elbow J, but it is blocked by Ethan Morton. Also just checked back in, and he's going to get back on defense and help real quick.
And Ohio State, too, so impressive because not only did they allow the ball into Zach Edey, and when he gets the ball, it is so tough to defend him with it in the middle, but still got down and defended him with the ball, and he did not make the shot.
This Purdue team, they have guys from all over the bench that you just can't stop. As Gale Jr. is going to take a minute, and Ice Likely is back in the game. Gale Jr. is one of those guys who's going to have to do real well late in this one if Ohio State wants to go to the chip. As Likely goes for a right side layup with his left hand and no good, and Purdue will run it.
Not a bad shot by Ice Likely, just wasn't able to execute.
Brandon Smith on the inside now, looking for anything, being double teamed. Passes out, but a bit too much on it. Was looking for Ethan Morton, but just went to the scorer's table, and that's a turnover.
Something, too, Purdue came out here strong from the three-point line, and they're still 3 for 3, but we haven't seen them put up any more three-pointers since then. So maybe if Zach Edey is not really doing great right now and Ohio State's defending him well, try to take a few more three-point shots and see if those go well.
Not a bad idea, but even on the inside, the defense on Edey's been looking good as Ice Likely gets a clear look, but passes out for the 3, swings it, suing, right wing 3, and he's got that too. 29-21, Ohio State with 8:10 left.
And what a smart move by Likely. He could have put the shot up there, but it wasn't the best option. He knew that. He passed it out. They moved the ball around and got a three-pointer because of it.
Here's a trend we have to see. Purdue has not scored in 5 minutes. As I say that, Edey goes in for an absolute monster of a dunk, and it is 29-23, Ohio State. Thornton now being guarded full court by Ethan Morton, trying to slip and slide him off of him, but he can't get anything so far, so passes to his left to Likely. Likely now looking at the floor, driving on the inside, right baseline, ball's poked out, and it is off the hands of Purdue. So Ohio State will keep it.
And Ohio State, we talked about Roddy Gale Jr. He's 4 for 4 from the three-pointers, and then Justice Suing is 2 for 3. So they are now 6 for 8, 75% shooting from beyond the arc.
In the city that has dyed their river green, Ohio State is getting green light shots here from 3, but there is another media timeout, so we are actually going to step away for just a half second. It is 29-23, Ohio State leads with 7:36 here left in the first.
Barrio Tacos is now open right in the heart of the Ohio State campus at 15th and High. Serving tacos and margaritas late night each night, Barrio has an incredible happy hour with half-off margs and $1 off tacos weekdays from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Don't forget, Barrio accepts Buck ID and is offering to-go and DoorDash. You can also catch Barrio Tacos inside the shoe during game days at Section 10A and at their taco truck Mondays to Fridays, parked right outside the RPAC.
Tune into the Block O Show presented by Barrio Tacos for an inside look at the 2022-23 Ohio State football season. Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio team of football broadcasters previews each week of the Buckeyes football season, featuring opposing reporters from student journalists across the country. Listen to the Block O Show presented by Barrio Tacos every Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time on the Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio Podcast Network.
Hi, this is Caleb Spinner.
And this is Tyler Danberg.
Together, we co-host the Ohio State of Mind, Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio's podcast covering all things Ohio State athletics. Join us Mondays and Fridays as we recap and preview every Ohio State sporting event from the past week.
We also talk to current and former Buckeye athletes in our interview series Behind the Buckeye. Follow the Ohio State of Mind on Twitter at State of Mind OSU for more information on the show.
We hope to see you there, but for now, that's the ad. We're out of here.
Hey, Buckeye fans, Zachary Rodier here, the podcast coordinator for Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio. Here to tell you that if you want to listen to post-game coverage of your favorite Ohio State athletics, make sure you subscribe and listen to SGSR Recap, where post-game coverage...
Back again here on SGSR TV, just about to be out of the media timeout. First off, we want to thank you again, Austin Crume, Sara Sharp, Caleb Spinner. How you guys doing? SGSR TV. You can see us today. You can't hear us because we're not necessarily on the radio side of it today. We want to get everyone here to be able to see how much energy is really going to be brought here in this incredible game between Ohio State and Purdue.
This has been a crazy game so far from both teams. So much energy and just so much hustle so far, and the energy from the crowd and all these fans is really helping as well.
And it's not even just Ohio State that they're playing. The Big Ten tournament itself, you have number 10 seed Penn State as well going up against number 3 seeded IU after this game. This has been upset central here in Chicago. No one's expecting the lower seeds to do well, and they're still doing it here into the semifinal round.
Could you imagine if it's a Penn State-Ohio State championship?
I think everyone who wants to see the Empire fall is looking forward to that one, as Gale now is running the ball. He just got checked in after that timeout, and he's crab walking on the inside. Tries to pass to Akpar with a slick pass, but just stolen by Edey, and Purdue's moving it.
Good thought by Roddy Gale Jr. Just didn't expect the wingspan that was coming at him.
Purdue is looking for anyone they can get, and Fletcher Lawyer is being held real well on defense. He has to kick it inside to Edey, and he just chucks it off the glass. Akpara can't do much about it. It is 29-25, Ohio State with 7:06 to go.
And not great defense there by the Buckeyes on Zach Edey. They've been doing so well so far, but not their best play.
Thornton just gives a little kick slap of a pass to Ice Likely. He goes into the post, right-handed floater, and there's no one to stop that. It is just bottom of the net, and it is 31-25 with 6:45 to go for Ohio State.
Ice Likely doubles his score from yesterday, now having 4 points.
Brandon Smith trying to drive inside, calls a screen from Edey. Nobody on him, looking for a shot, passes to his left, potential 3, but no. And there's a rattled around shot and a rebound by Edey, and he will be called on the foul, and one for him after getting the rebound from Fletcher Lawyer.
And again, on that one, it is so hard because you want to go up, you want to try to play defense, but at some point you have to have the presence and the awareness to know that let him take that shot, let him get it, do not foul on it, and Akpara now has 2 fouls.
Akpara checking out, Eugene Brown checking back in. Also a guy, Edey, at his 7'4" stature, shoots 70 from the free throw line, which is very uncommon, especially for big men. You think about guys who are his size, they can't shoot as well as most can, as he actually misses that one. So Ohio State lucky, but they got to see if they can score here on the other side of the ball. As Thornton now being held real well on defense at half court by Ethan Morton. Has to pass to Sewing on his right, looking for something. Calls for a screen from Eugene Brown. Drives in with his left. Kicks out to Ice Likely at the left. Passes back to the left corner. Sewing looking for a fake. Going in on Edey, trying to get around him. It's impossible. Hits to Gale. Goes for a pump. 2-1. Has to shoot. And Purdue will actually steal it, and they're moving on the fast break. It has to slow down after Ohio State's defense gets back. And it is Brandon Newman hits inside to Edey. 3 guys on him, and it is blocked. And it is a pinball around, and the ball will go to Ohio State.
And Ohio State got that one, but I just want to point out the defense by Zach Edey on Justice Sewing. You expect usually with the big man, and I think what Sewing was expecting was to be able to get around him because of his size, but he shut him down.
A lot of boos raining in here as Purdue fans think that the ball went off of Ohio State last, but not going to happen here as Ohio State now has the ball for their possession. But regardless of what's going to happen, they think it might have been actually a foul call instead, but Ice Likely now driving it, has great defense on him, drives inside, goes around the basket on the baseline, kind of fumbles the ball, has to hit to his right to Gale Jr. Right wing, far away, looking for something. 4 on the shot clock, goes in, spins around, tries to get a corner 3. Likely has to shoot it. 1 second off the side of the backboard, and that is a terrible possession for Ohio State.
And Roddy Gale Jr. tried to pass that to Ice Likely, and it was knocked away by a Purdue defender. So maybe the best choice there would have just been to let it go out of bounds and try to hopefully set up something better with the last 4 seconds.
Luckily for them, though, still up by 4. Not enough to go, though, with 5:16 to go in this first half. And especially Zach Edey going up against Eugene Brown, only 6'7", so he's got the height advantage over him. As Brandon Smith is now on the left wing, being double teamed by Eugene Brown and Bruce Thornton. Ball inside now to Edey, being double teamed and fouled, what it looks like, by Roddy Gale Jr. You don't want to see that for Ohio State.
You don't, and again, it looks like what they're doing up top is trying to double team up top, and then it's rushing Eugene Brown to try to get back down low to Zach Edey, which is, it's tough when he's going to get the ball if nobody's on him. So adjust maybe so that your player who's on Zach Edey does not have to go out and double team up top.
That's the only way they may actually have to do it if Okpara isn't playing. But Purdue is now in the bonus, and he's going to shoot 1 and miss. So Ohio State gets the rebound, but Purdue also checked in Ethan Morton, who's done real well on defense. Speaking of Morton, he's on Bruce Thornton right now, getting good defense, hits it to Likely. Likely over to Sewing, hits to Brown, top of the key. Brown not most of a three-point shooter, but Edey's giving him space. Hits it to Thornton and bounced off a defender, so he's going to have to go all the way into the backcourt. And it looks like it will be a backcourt violation and given to Purdue.
Solid defense by Purdue right now on Ohio State, and on the offensive side as well. Zach Edey now has 10 points. So he's getting closer to where you would expect him to be with this half, and possibly even more so.
Ohio State not playing the greatest. They have 4 turnovers in the last 3.5 minutes. They're on a 2-minute scoring drought as well. And with Purdue being in the bonus and only 4 down, this is not a good look for them. As Purdue now moving the ball, Braden Smith, top of the key, calls for a screen by Edey. Looks to his left. They're swinging it around the perimeter. It looks like Caleb First swings it back around, back to First. Jab step inside, Sewing on him, looking for something. Has to chuck it up with 2, and a rebound by Gale, and he's going to run quick.
And Ohio State, it looks like, is hedging the screen by Eugene Brown, is hedging the screen and then not covering the pick and roll with Zach Edey and leaving him open on it.
Both teams now on a scoring drought of over 2 minutes, as Sewing now has the ball on the left side, and he's trying to drive in. About a 15-foot J, rattles around and no good, and it's a rebound for Purdue. Moving the ball as much as they can. Brandon Smith, crossover on Gale Jr., and my goodness, he had him lost in the sauce, and that's a 2 on that, but it looks like there might be some foul calls in the paint.
That one was an off-ball foul, some sort of scramble between Zach Edey and Eugene Brown down low once again.
And it is a 31-29 game right now with 3:51 left in the first. And it looks like there's going to be another timeout call on the floor. Not sure if it's media or if it's one of the teams, but Ohio State still 0 points in the last 2 minutes and 57 seconds. That's not really good.
It's not, and they've been playing solid defense on Purdue. It's just now on the other side of the ball, being able to score, and they've struggled with that. You said they have that scoring drought. It's been almost 3 minutes now since their last points.
One thing that you do have to look on the upside for Ohio State is in their first win against Wisconsin, they had 65 points. Their second win against Iowa, they had 73. Their win yesterday against Michigan State, they had 68. So they are scoring in the late 60s and upper 70s. So you can see them, they're on average to hit around there. It just depends how well they can get around Purdue's defense, and especially Edey in the paint. But if you got Gale Jr. shooting as well as he is, there's going to be some defense positioning like Ethan Morton guarding him way beyond at Curry range.
And like you said, just have to be able to score, especially with players like Roddy Gale who are so hot right now. Try to find him on the ball, but it's tough when you have somebody who's playing such strong defense on them as well. And you also, coming up against Purdue, you're playing a team who can score. They are also going to go out and they're going to score. So you have to play strong defense against Purdue, which is very important against Zach Edey especially. But like you said, you have to be able to score as well, because defense is going to help you out. But if you can't score either, it's not going to work out.
I think the good look for Ohio State at this point, Edey, though, 10 points already. And there's still about 4 minutes left to go in the first. But he is shooting 50%, 5 for 10 from the field, and 0 for 2 from free throw with only 1 rebound. That's a really high key for Ohio State, because Edey averages 12.8 rebounds and really doesn't even have to move. The ball just kind of is a magnet to him because he's so tall. He just puts his hands out and he gets it. But Ohio State's defense and their rebounding ability in this one so far, they're out-rebounding Purdue 11-9 in this one. And most of the time, it's honestly been you got the guards going and getting the ball off of Edey's hands or after being pinballed around by the offensive defense.
And like you said, that rebounding is huge for Zach Edey, because on a lot of those rebounds, it's on a shot by somebody else on his Purdue team, and then it goes off, he grabs it, and he puts a second chance shot up, and that's going to lead to more points. So if they can continue to stop him from rebounding, it will stop him from scoring as well on second chance opportunities down low.
What we've honestly seen, though, is Edey's not doing so well on second chance points. So far, that's a guy of Caleb First, a guy who didn't get, I don't think he got any minutes in yesterday's game against Rutgers. Didn't expect it to be as close for Purdue, and you saw they had most of their guys in their warm-up shirts, not even expecting to touch the hardwood. So it makes sense why they're getting a lot more minutes today against an Ohio State team that's been hot for so many minutes. But definitely keeping Edey off the offensive rebound chart and the putback basket is definitely a good look. His 1 rebound, though, is an offensive rebound, just not a putback for himself.
Exactly, and you talked about players like First, who has gone out here, and he's had such great awareness, and such great awareness from Edey as well. And because Edey knows when he gets that rebound, or when he grabs the ball, or he gets the ball down low, he is going to be double or triple teamed, which is going to leave his teammates open. And First has done a great job of not staying outside of the three-point lane. He's coming in and he's getting down low and getting an easier shot for himself, because he knows that Edey will find him for that shot.
Caleb First, 6 points right now, averaged 5.7 on the entire season. So he's already over his season average here. So he's definitely going to look to have that role of Mason Gillis like yesterday, where he's going to put up as many as possible, as Edey is going to take some free throws here for what it looks like on a tech.
It's another foul on Eugene Brown III as well. So 3 fouls for him in the first half.
Edey hits the first, so that will be his first free throw he's made. He's now 1 for 3 on those. Going for his second momentarily. It is 31-30 though, so if he makes it, it's tied. And it's tied, 31 apiece with 3:51 here to go at the United Center.
That's a huge foul, because it makes this a tied game, but also, like we just said, Eugene Brown III now has 3 points, and it is on Okpara to come out here and defend him instead.
Yeah, you can't have fouls early in this one, because once he's gone, you don't have much depth being the big man on the floor, so it really isn't good. Right now, there's an off-ball ice likely with Edey on him, and Edey just abusing him. Purdue moving the ball around, finding anybody they can. It looks like it's Fletcher Lawyer with this one inside to Edey, being double-teamed, looking, stepping, throwing, and he's got that off the back iron and dropped. Another right hook for Edey, 33-31, Purdue now leads.
Ohio State does not have Eugene Brown III or Okpara in the game right now, and they put ice likely on Edey.
It looks like they're giving Holden that kind of personnel to go check, as Thornton is now trying to find the ball and gives it to Gale on the right side. Gale's feeling hot. He's going for a 3 up top. Drops it, rolls around, and it's another 3, 34-33. Ohio State now leads.
Roddy Gale Jr. 5 for 5 now, perfect from the field.
Roddy Gale's going to have to keep this up, just like he has on defense, as he's holding Brandon Smith real well. Has to pass to the other side of the court for a 3 by Brandon Newman, and no good. Ohio State moving, and it looks like it will be a charge on Thornton, and Purdue is going to get lucky and get the ball back.
Now that was an interesting foul that the refs called there, as Ice Likely was still running and trying to grab the ball. And then number 5, Brandon Newman, was set. He was set, he had his feet set, but interesting because Ice Likely was still trying to grab for the ball and wasn't directly running into him.
Likely, like you said, I thought he was Thornton. He was actually right next to him, but Likely's kind of limping around a little bit. Not a good look for Ohio State, as most of their guys are out right now with injuries, especially those key guys, whether it's Sensabaugh or Key, those guys who are really good on defense and rebounding. And this is one of those games you have to rebound as best as you can, as David Jenkins Jr. now is holding the ball from about 45 feet straight up, headstrong at the basket. Pass it inside to Edey, a long pass almost stolen by Gale, and Edey just throws another right hook over. Left, right, he's toothless, and that's another shot, 35-34 for Purdue.
And Ice Likely is on Edey right now. He is 6'5" compared to Edey's 7'4", so almost a foot difference in height.
Thornton, in the meantime, goes up for a right elbow. Jay clanks off the left side of the iron and rebounded by Purdue. Purdue now, and Jenkins Jr. running inside, open 3, top of the key, and he's got it. Not even a contest from Ohio State. It is 38-34 with 2:09 remaining.
And at what point now does Chris Holtmann call a timeout, as Purdue is on a bit of a run?
I would call it as soon as possible. Get underneath 2 and call a timeout. But it looks like Ohio State won't do that, as Ice Likely is just dribbling the ball out. And it looks like Purdue is going to go foul, so he is forced to call a timeout, or a timeout will be called on the floor. And Purdue fans are getting loud here, as they're 13-3 in the last 5 minutes.
Purdue fans, like you said, getting loud in the arena, and that is so daunting as an Ohio State player. We saw yesterday in the Purdue game against Rutgers a huge presence coming to watch their team in United Center.
This is still such a close game. It can go anyone's way. Purdue, you know how dominant they are. Ohio State, they've been running through teams like they're freight trains. You can't really stop them when you got the heat still going. These Scarlet jerseys, maybe that's what's helping them so far, or maybe they're just really feeling good. They want to show the country that we don't care what you think, and we are going to go for it all. But this is definitely their, in air quotes, championship game, because who would have thought that they would be playing Purdue, let alone be playing them on a Saturday?
And then, again, they are keeping it close. They've had a strong run in the tournament, but here's your biggest issue. Zach Edey has 16 points right now, and Rutgers held him to 16 in the entire game yesterday. We're not even done with the first half. Biggest issue to go along with that is the fact that Eugene Brown has 3 fouls so far, and Felix Okpara has 2 fouls, so you are sticking your smaller men to go and try to defend against Edey. He is getting the ball down in the post every single play. Purdue knows it. They have a smaller mismatch, and they're going to get it to Edey for the points.
It's not a good look for Ohio State, even with 1:50 to go, especially still now. Ice Likely inbounded to Thornton, and Likely's holding his knee still like he's in a lot of pain, as Sewing is now being double-teamed just over the 3-point arc, looking for a shot with 4 seconds, and it will be called as an offensive foul on Ohio State.
And there they called a 5-second call on Justice Sewing. He was holding the ball for too long and wasn't able to get the dribble off before the 5 seconds.
Purdue definitely happy about that. Same with Matt Painter. He was throwing his fist around, super happy that they're getting the ball back in their hands, and they're feeling hot. As Jenkins Jr. hits the ball to his right to Mason Gillis. He just recently checked back in, being guarded by Sewing. There's a screen, and Sewing ran through it. No call, though, as there's a pass inside to Edey, and he is being mismatched by Ice Likely, with 2 guys jumping. So there's going to be an open man for Purdue. Inside for Jenkins Jr. Passes out to Willis. Inside to Edey. Throws up another right. No good, and off the hands of Gillis. But it will be Ohio State's ball, but the mismatch on Edey, they have to put 2 point guards on him, so there will always be an open man for Purdue. It's just a matter of if they could find him in time.
And that is just so hard. You had Bruce Thornton and you had Ice Likely double teaming on Edey, and the size difference just looks insane, and it is insane, and it makes it difficult for the Buckeyes defense. But you can't take some of your taller guys like Justice Sewing. You can't have him go down and guard because he has other duties that he needs to fulfill, and he can't take that energy.
Bruce Thornton 6'2", Ice Likely 6'5", and they had to jump as high as they could to even get close to Edey's arms. as Gale Jr. now at the top of the key. 10 seconds left on the shot clock, looking for another shot. Another three in the mouth of a defender, and finally misses his first three. And Purdue will rebound with 51 seconds to go.
It's a player you do not want to see get cold for Ohio State.
David Jenkins Jr., left side, nobody on him, goes up for a contested layup, and outside, tried to save by Gale and just kind of thrown, so it looks like it will be Purdue's ball to retain.
And Roddy Gale Jr., assuming, was trying to get that one back in because he wasn't quite sure if the ball had hit Bruce Thornton last, and there was a possibility that it did, instead of just letting the ball go out of bounds.
Good potential to try to do it, but not super sure what was going on, as Purdue and Painter will take a timeout in this one with 42.9 to go. They are up 4, so they got to feel a little bit confident, especially with their scoring right now. They're 13 points to Ohio State's 3. Almost in the last 6 minutes, so Ohio State has gone very dry in this. And honestly, the only person who finally just missed a shot who's been feeling even somewhat confident is Gale Jr. Bruce Thornton is 0 for 4 today, and he's averaged double digits in the last 7 games he's been playing and shooting over 54%.
And that's going to be an issue, too, if Roddy Gale Jr. does start to get cold and not shoot as well, because he is the one keeping Ohio State in this game right now. As like you said, Bruce Thornton has 0 points for Ohio State. By this time, he was most likely at double digits yesterday, so a huge difference in a swing with him, as well as Justice Stewing with only 6 points as well. So it's been kind of your uncharacteristic scores for Ohio State to keep them close. Ice Likely with 4, Eugene Brown with 2, and Okpara with 6.
You're going to have to get some of those guys, especially the big men, they have to, one, be on the floor to help with the offense, but especially with defense. Edey, he's being guarded by a 6'5" shooting guard at the moment, being double-teamed by him and Gale right now. Purdue swinging the ball, looking for an open man. Back into Edey, still has Ice Likely on him, and the only thing he can do is slap his left arm and call for a foul.
And good thought by Ice Likely there, but he hit down instead of hitting up, trying to get the ball out of Zach Edey's hands, and most likely when you're going to smack down on the ball, they will call a foul on you.
Purdue now in the double bonus. They are up by 4 with 36.3 left to go. And Edey, he has picked it up. He is 50% from the line, 2 of 4. Let's see what he's going to be after this. He is now 3 of 5, so you don't want to see him get comfortable there, because those are just free points for Purdue, 39-34.
And Edey is only 4 points away from his average now, and it's only the first half.
Yeah, you don't want to see him get anywhere near 20, because he really could be one of those guys to drop a 40-piece, because it is hard to stop him, and it's shown. Even the big men for Ohio State can't guard him, let alone putting 2 point guards on, but he does miss the second, and Gale rebounds, and it looks like he may just try to run down most of the shot clock and get into the half with less scrapes than they want.
And it's interesting to look at, too, for the Purdue offense. Edey has 17 points. Next highest scorer is Caleb First with 6, so a huge difference in scoring.
Likely kind of goes up over Edey, but no good, and it just kind of airballs, and Purdue and David Jenkins Jr. will call it go for a shot at the horn, and he's got it. 5 seconds running shot clock. Ohio State trying to inbound. Thornton, he's got it from half. Tries to chuck it, but no good, and tipped away. And it is 42-34 Purdue, leading at the half. Not necessarily surprising being the #1 team, but Ohio State did put up a really good fight, but those last 7 minutes of play were absolutely abysmal.
They were. Ohio State, like you said, came out strong in this game. They had all of the energy. They were scoring. They had the lead. The game then went to 31-31. It was tied, and Purdue took advantage of that, and they have come out strong. But the biggest issue here, and the reason why they have this lead, is because of the fouls on Brown and on Okpara for the Buckeyes have left them sitting on the bench for most of the second half of the first half. And so then Edey has the opportunity to go out and take advantage of the mismatch and score 17 points.
And there's going to have to be one way or another, you're going to have to get a guy to stop Edey, because he's just looking way more dominant than he did yesterday. Looks way more confident, especially at the charity stripe, which is something you don't want for him. A guy who's going to get fouled a lot. Makes sense why he's such a good shooter. He's got to practice it. When you're going to put a 6'5" guard on him who's just trying to get the ball out any way he can, he is bound to get fouled. But Ohio State, on the flip side, their defense was solid at the beginning and kind of fell down a hill at the end, unsure what to do. And I think that honestly could be in turn to them not having the hot hand on offense, because no offense leads to a little bit more stress on defense, because you have to stop or that lead keeps growing.
You do, and looking at the offense for both of these teams, most of the scoring has been done by two individuals on the opposing teams. Roddy Gale Jr. has 16 points, and Zach Edey has 17 points, and on both sides, Ohio State and Purdue, the second leading scorer has 6. So you have two guys who are in double digits, almost at 20 for the Buckeyes and for Purdue, and not a lot of scoring otherwise from other teammates. So either Purdue is going to have to come out and step up here, or Ohio State's going to have to step up with other scorers besides these two if they're going to be shut down.
Ohio State has gone through adversity this season. They are not as worried as they should be. They've been playing great. All they need is to recoup and go out in this one. But we'll be back in about 14 minutes as the halftime break is here, and I will be done on play-by-play, and Caleb Spinner will finally be able to not rest his voice and call such an incredible game. So he'll be there, and Sarah will still be on color. I'll be helping behind the scenes, and it is 42-34. Purdue leads it. Thank you for watching the first half. We'll be back in about 15 minutes on SGSR TV.
Barrio Tacos is now open right in the heart of the Ohio State campus at 15th and High. Serving tacos and margaritas late night each night, Barrio has an incredible happy hour with half-off margs and $1 off tacos weekdays from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Don't forget, Barrio accepts Buck ID and is offering to-go and DoorDash. You can also catch Barrio Tacos inside the shoe during game days at Section 10A and at their taco truck Mondays to Fridays, parked right outside the RPAC.
Tune into the Block O Show, presented by Barrio Tacos, for an inside look at the 2022-23 Ohio State football season. Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio team of football broadcasters previews each week of the Buckeyes football season, featuring opposing reporters from student journalists across the country. Listen to the Block O Show, presented by Barrio Tacos, every Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time on the Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio Podcast Network.
Hi, this is Caleb Spinner.
And this is Tyler Danberg.
Together, we co-host the Ohio State of Mind, Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio's podcast covering all things Ohio State athletics. Join us Mondays and Fridays as we recap and preview every Ohio State sporting event from the past week.
We also talk to current and former Buckeye athletes in our interview series Behind the Buckeye. Follow the Ohio State of Mind on Twitter at State of Mind OSU for more information on the show.
We hope to see you there, but for now, that's the ad. We're out of here.
Hey, Buckeye fans, Zachary Rodier here, the podcast coordinator for Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio. Here to tell you that if you want to listen to post-game coverage of your favorite Ohio State athletics, make sure you subscribe and listen to SGSR Recap, where post-game coverage of all the big games, including football, big hockey, basketball, and everything around, will be on SGSR Recap in case you miss post-game live on Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio. So make sure you listen to SGSR Recap on your favorite listening platform on the Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio Podcast Network.
Hey Buckeye fans, this is Patrick Engels, president of the Sports and Society Initiative Student Club. Are you interested in pursuing a career in sports and hearing from professionals who work in the sports industry? If so, then come find us in room 274 of the Journalism Building for SSI's bi-weekly meetings. Join us every other Monday at 7:30 p.m. to hear from qualified guest speakers who work in sports throughout Columbus, Ohio, and beyond. For questions regarding our club, please contact myself, our treasurer Jacob Benj, or our advisor Dr. Nicole Kraft. Go Bucks!
This is Matt Goldman, Vice President of SGSR, and you're listening to Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio, the official student radio network of Ohio State Athletics.
Coming soon to Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio, Season 2 of the Nothing But Nylon podcast with Gabe and Tyreek, covering all things Ohio State men's basketball.
Bringing you news, analysis, and more. Episodes will be coming to you every Tuesday starting November 1st. We hope to see you soon on Nothing But Nylon. Peace.
Hey everyone, my name is Jack Murphy, and I'm one of the co-hosts of The Nightcap, a new podcast here at Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio. Join me and my co-host Sam Cerrone every week for a discussion about the current state of sports and an interview with one of the top members of the Ohio State athletic community. We have a new podcast every Wednesday, and you can get us on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Go Bucks!
Zachary Rodier here, host of 614 Check on Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio's Podcast Network. We're the only dedicated podcast talking about the Ohio State men's and women's ice hockey teams and the Columbus Blue Jackets. In each episode, we will cover everything you need to know in the NHL and NCAA surrounding the 614 hockey area code, and we will have exclusive interviews with the best 614 hockey personalities, including players, media personnel, and journalists. Listen to 614 Check, linktr.ee/614check, 4check spelled FORECHECK. Hope to see you there.
Barrio Tacos is now open right in the heart of the Ohio State campus at 15th and High. Serving tacos and margaritas late night each night, Barrio has an incredible happy hour with half-off margs and $1 off tacos weekdays from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Don't forget, Barrio accepts Buck ID and is offering to-go and DoorDash. You can also catch Barrio Tacos inside the shoe during game days at Section 10A and at their taco truck Mondays to Fridays, parked right outside the RPAC.
Tune into the Block O Show, presented by Barrio Tacos, for an inside look at the 2022-23 Ohio State football season. Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio team of football broadcasters previews each week of the Buckeyes football season, featuring opposing reporters from student journalists across the country. Listen to the Block O Show, presented by Barrio Tacos, every Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time on the Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio Podcast Network.
Hi, this is Caleb Spinner.
And this is Tyler Danberg.
Together, we co-host the Ohio State of Mind, Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio's podcast covering all things Ohio State athletics. Join us Mondays and Fridays as we recap and preview every Ohio State sporting event from the past week.
We also talk to current and former Buckeye athletes in our interview series Behind the Buckeye. Follow the Ohio State of Mind on Twitter at State of Mind OSU for more information on the show.
We hope to see you there, but for now, that's the ad. We're out of here.
Hey, Buckeye fans, Zachary Rodier here, the podcast coordinator for Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio, here to tell you that if you want to listen to post-game coverage of your favorite Ohio State athletics, make sure you subscribe and listen to SGSR Recap, where post-game coverage of all the big games, including football, big hockey, basketball, and everything around, will be on SGSR Recap in case you miss post-game live on Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio. So make sure you listen to SGSR Recap on your favorite listening platform on the Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio Podcast Network.
Hey Buckeye fans, this is Patrick Engels, president of the Sports and Society Initiative Student Club. Are you interested in pursuing a career in sports and hearing from professionals who work in the sports industry? If so, then come find us in room 274 of the Journalism Building for SSI's bi-weekly meetings. Join us every other Monday at 7:30 p.m. to hear from qualified guest speakers who work in sports throughout Columbus, Ohio, and beyond. For questions regarding our club, please contact myself, our treasurer Jacob Benj, or our advisor Dr. Nicole Kraft. Go Bucks!
This is Matt Goldman, Vice President of SGSR, and you're listening to Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio, the official student radio network of Ohio State Athletics.
Coming soon to Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio, Season 2 of the Nothing But Nylon podcast with Gabe and Tyreek, covering all things Ohio State men's basketball.
Bringing you news, analysis, and more. Episodes will be coming to you every Tuesday starting November 1st. We hope to see you soon on Nothing But Nylon. Peace.
Hey everyone, my name is Jack Murphy, and I'm one of the co-hosts of The Nightcap, a new podcast here at Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio. Join me and my co-host Sam Cerrone every week for a discussion about the current state of sports and an interview with one of the top members of the Ohio State athletic community. We have a new podcast every Wednesday, and you can get us on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Go Bucks!
Zachary Rodier here, host of 614 Check on Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio's Podcast Network. We're the only dedicated podcast talking about the Ohio State men's and women's ice hockey teams and the Columbus Blue Jackets. In each episode, we will cover everything you need to know in the NHL and NCAA surrounding the 614 hockey area code, and we will have exclusive interviews with the best 614 hockey personalities, including players, media personnel, and journalists. Listen to 614 Check, linktr.ee/614check, 4check spelled FORECHECK. Hope to see you there.
Barrio Tacos is now open right in the heart of the Ohio State campus at 15th and High. Serving tacos and margaritas late night each night, Barrio has an incredible happy hour with half-off margs and $1 off tacos weekdays from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Don't forget, Barrio accepts Buck ID and is offering to-go and DoorDash. You can also catch Barrio tacos inside the shoe during game days at Section 10A and at their taco truck Mondays to Fridays, parked right outside the RPAC.
Tune into the Block O Show, presented by Barrio Tacos, for an inside look at the 2022-23 Ohio State football season. Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio team of football broadcasters previews each week of the Buckeyes football season, featuring opposing reporters from student journalists across the country. Listen to the Block O Show, presented by Barrio Tacos, every Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time on the Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio Podcast Network.
Hi, this is Caleb Spinner.
And this is Tyler Danberg.
Together, we co-host the Ohio State of Mind, Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio's podcast covering all things Ohio State athletics. Join us Mondays and Fridays as we recap and preview every Ohio State sporting event from the past week.
We also talk to current and former Buckeye athletes in our interview series Behind the Buckeye. Follow the Ohio State of Mind on Twitter at State of Mind OSU for more information on the show.
We hope to see you there, but for now, that's the ad. We're out of here.
Hey, Buckeye fans, Zachary Rodier here, the podcast coordinator for Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio, here to tell you that if you want to listen to post-game coverage of your favorite Ohio State athletics, make sure you subscribe and listen to SGSR Recap, where post-game coverage of all the big games, including football, big hockey, basketball, and everything around, will be on SGSR Recap in case you miss post-game live on Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio. So make sure you listen to SGSR Recap on your favorite listening platform on the Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio Podcast Network.
Hey Buckeye fans, this is Patrick Engels, president of the Sports and Society Initiative Student Club. Are you interested in pursuing a career in sports and hearing from professionals who work in the sports industry? If so, then come find us in room 274 of the Journalism Building for SSI's bi-weekly meetings. Join us every other Monday at 7:30 p.m. to hear from qualified guest speakers who work in sports throughout Columbus, Ohio, and beyond. For questions regarding our club, please contact myself, our treasurer Jacob Benj, or our advisor Dr. Nicole Kraft. Go Bucks!
This is Matt Goldman, Vice President of SGSR, and you're listening to Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio, the official student radio network of Ohio State Athletics.
Coming soon to Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio, Season 2 of the Nothing But Nylon podcast with Gabe and Tyreek, covering all things Ohio State men's basketball.
Bringing you news, analysis, and more. Episodes will be coming to you every Tuesday starting November 1st. We hope to see you soon on Nothing But Nylon. Peace.
For the first time this tournament, I'm Caleb Spinner alongside Sara Sharp. Welcome to SGSR TV's coverage of the Big Ten men's basketball tournament here at the United Center in Chicago, Illinois. We've been here since Wednesday. Arguably this one, though, the biggest game of Ohio State's tournament. Well, of course it is, right? You move on or you go back to Columbus. And right now, Purdue takes the lead over Ohio State 42-34 after the first 20 minutes of play. A little bit of takeaways there. Number one, Zach Edey, the big guy for Purdue Boilermakers, 7'4". He has no fouls right now and is already creeping at, if not over, his average points right now. He had 16 in the first half. He is going to be somebody that Ohio State has to draw fouls against, but if you're Purdue, you can keep him in all you want.
Absolutely, and like you said, 0 fouls so far, and on the other end of the ball, the players who are tasked to defend against Zach Edey have 3 fouls and 2 fouls, so it's been lopsided on that, and the Buckeyes need to come out, either play cleaner defense against him because of his 17 points right now, or they need to somehow draw fouls and get him in foul trouble.
Yeah, Zach Edey, 17 points on 7 of 13 from the floor. Only 3 of 6 from the free throw line, though. So maybe that's something, if you're going to continue to foul him late, maybe those free throws come in there. But a few numbers in team comparison here. Ohio State losing the shooting battle against Purdue, 59% to 50%. 64% is the Buckeyes' three-point percentage compared to 83%. The Boilermakers have been on fire from outside the rainbow. 7 of 11 for Ohio State, 5 of 6 for Purdue. And then you look at the free throw numbers. Another thing that needs change for Ohio State, 63% Purdue, which of course is a number you don't want. However, it looks significantly better than Ohio State's 33% from the charity stripe.
And it does too, not only with the percentage, but the number of free throws that have been shot for Purdue. They have had 8 chances at free throws. Ohio State only 3. So gonna want to get to the charity stripe, like you said, a little bit more for the Buckeyes in this second half if possible, and shoot some more free throws, get some more free points.
Purdue trailed a lot of that first half, but then they took momentum back as we went to the locker room. We'll see how teams come out. Purdue, they got to play it like it's 0-0. They didn't have the best start. Ohio State got off to a 3-point barrage at the beginning, started to force it at the end, and that's when their percentage started to drop, particularly on the side of Roddy Gale Jr., who's been on fire there. Meanwhile, Ohio State, you were in control for so long, as I just said. You got to get back to that.
You do, and you talked about Roddy Gale Jr. on offense. He's been so strong, but other key scorers for the Buckeyes have been very quiet. Bruce Thornton has no points. Sean McNeil, no points. So 2 players who have scored in double digits in their last games in the tournament so far have not scored at all, and some points from those players would make a difference in this score.
Ohio State will toss in the ball from the near side sideline. Justice Soon will toss it in. Buckeyes going on offense left to right. Vice versa for the Purdue Boilermakers. Suing tosses it in on the left side of the floor to Sean McNeil. McNeil, left-hand dribble. He's guarded by Lawyer. Goes over to the left side, not quite to the wing. Gets it out to the top of it all to Bruce Thornton. Thornton trying to go off a screen left side to Okpara. Dribbles into the paint. Pulls back out to his right side and now dribbles out to the right side wing. Over towards the point once again, back to the wing. A long 3 from Thornton does not go. Rebound goes to Lawyer and the Boilermakers.
Thornton 0-5 from the field so far in this game.
Braden Smith with it now for Purdue. Left-hand dribble. Over to the wing. He's guarded by Sean McNeil defensively. Okpara broke it up, had to get it over to Lawyer. Lawyer takes a dribble inside the rainbow, takes a shot, won't fall. Rebound going to Zach Eady. He was batting it around with Thornton, and they'll say the ball was last touched by Thornton, who was defending against Eady. It'll be Purdue ball from their own baseline.
And that was one of the issues we talked about in the first half, was not allowing Eady those second chance rebounds to put those shots up. Good defense by the Buckeyes on that one.
42-34, Purdue leading Ohio State with 19:17 to go in the game. And we'll get a foul called against Bruce Thornton. It goes on Gillis. Mason Gillis will head to the line. And it looks actually they'll call it on Justice Suing.
Justice Suing's first foul of the game so far. He's struggled with fouling and being in foul trouble so far in the tournament.
Comes once again on a late reach in. We saw a lot of those on Ohio State's defense in the first half. Smith with it now, right side. Gets it inside to the block to Eady. Eady, one dribble, picks up his dribble, goes for the hook and parries it.
Okpara had the good arm bar on him, just Eady beat him with the strength.
One of several hooks to go for Eady. He's got 19 points as the Purdue Boilermakers extend their lead to double digits. It's 10 points, 44-34. Number 1 Purdue over number 13 Ohio State. 18:43 to go in the game. Thornton kicks it over to to Okpara. Okpara over to McNeil. McNeil left side, switches hands, going to the right. At the right elbow, pulls back, gets it to Thornton, back out beyond the arc, and they'll get a foul. It's a blocking foul that will go against Purdue. One of their only fouls in the game, and it looks to go against Newman.
Yeah, Purdue has not had many fouls. It's been pretty lopsided. Ohio State had 10 after the the first half, and Purdue had 5. Right now tied 1-1.
Brandon Newman picks up his second foul of the game. Ohio State lobs it in from underneath their bucket. Left wing Justice Suing picks up his dribble. He's guarded by Mason Gillis. Kicked it over into the corner for Roddy Gale. Gale tried to go below the baseline, trying to drive paint, and he's going to be fouled. It does not go against Zach Eady. It goes against the other defender down there, Braden Smith.
And again, Zach Eady with 0 player fouls right now. So if that one would have been against him, it would have been more crucial for the Buckeyes.
Ohio State inbounds from the baseline. McNeil pulls up from just inside the arc and gets that to go. Ohio State's first 2 points of the game of this half come from Sean McNeil. 36-44, the Buckeyes trail the Boilermakers. 18:06 to go, second half. Eady, hook shot, rolls around the front of the rim and falls out, but will get another foul. Toss up here between Suing and Gale, who they'll call this on, but it's going to send Gillis to the free throw line once again.
And Suing now had no fouls in the first half, starting out only in the first 2 minutes. In the second half has 2. Needs to stay out of foul trouble, as Okpara and Eugene Brown are also in foul trouble for the Buckeyes.
3 Buckeyes on the floor have 2 fouls to their name, McNeil, Suing, and Okpara. Purdue tried to kick it around. McNeil saves it in. but he'll throw it right back to the Boilermakers on the other side of the timeline. Smith, driving left side, gets all the way to the block before he's picked up defensively by Akpara. Kicks it back out to Lawyer. His three off the mark. Rebound goes to Zach Eady. Stolen away by Roddy Gale. He crosses half court. Gets it over to Bruce Thornton in the left side wing. His three-pointer is short of the bucket. Goes off the front of the rim.
Not a good shot choice there by Bruce Thornton. Wait to set it up. See if you can find a better option.
44-36 is the Purdue lead over Ohio State. Floater is good for Braden Smith. 46-36, Purdue ahead by 10. 17-18 to go, second half. Sewing on the right side, gets it over to the top of the key to Thornton. Thornton guarded by Newman, goes over to his left side. Pulls back as Newman shut off the wing where Thornton was trying to get to. Akpara now right side at the wing. Roddy Gale drives in left side, gets to the block before he dishes off to Akpara. It's broken up from behind. This foul will go against Lawyer.
And Purdue now 3 fouls to start off the second half. Ohio State 2, only 4 minutes in. So it's been a heavy fouling second half.
Second foul of the game for Fletcher Lawyer. He will check out.
Ice likely back in for the Buckeyes, who seem to be struggling with a bit of a knee issue after the first half, but he is good to go.
Lawyer is replaced by the 6'7" guard Ethan Morton, the junior from Butler, Pennsylvania. McNeil gets it down to Likely, and as Likely tried to get it out from the baseline back to McNeil on the wing, it was deflected and knocked out of bounds. Looked to be off of the hands of Morton.
And Ice likely back in as well. Also another player for the Buckeyes with 2 fouls. So 4 players with 2 fouls and 1 player with 3 fouls for Ohio State.
46-36, number 1 seeded Purdue over number 13 Ohio State here in the second half of the Big Ten semifinal. Winner goes on to play the winner of Indiana and Purdue, Penn State, which happens later today. McNeil falling away bucket. It's not good for 3, but it's just inside. A long 2 for Sean McNeil gets the Buckeyes back within single figures, 46-38.
That's one player who's been so strong scoring for the Buckeyes. They need to see him score like this in the second half.
Under 16:20 to go in this game. Edey with it now at the elbow. Pulls back and kicks it beyond the arc to Smith, who catches in from deep. 49-38, 16-14 to go. Purdue ahead of Ohio State. Likely with it. Back out to the Big Ten logo at half court.
Purdue is 6 for 8, 75% from the 3-point line in the game.
McNeil picks up same spot, now goes over to the left, enters the rainbow. Dancing along Morton defensively. Kicks it over to the opposite side of the floor to Sewing. Sewing drives in right side, kicks out to Akpara. Akpara tries for 3, off wide to the left. Rebound goes to the Boilermakers. Smith taking it down the floor right side. Back out to the point. Here comes Newman driving in. He scoops it with the left hand, but they'll call a foul before the shot. It's on the floor against McNeil. He'll pick up his third in a timeout called by Ohio State. 49-38, Purdue leading Ohio State with 15:38 to go as we get this timeout.
And McNeil now, as you said, with his 3rd foul, which is not good for the Buckeyes, as he is the only player in this second half so far to be hot. He has 4 points after 0 in the first half. All of his 4 points coming from these first 5 minutes. So he's probably going to sit now and not the player you want to see sit down.
We're going to step aside here on SGSR TV. 49-38, Purdue leads Ohio State with 15:38 to go in the Big Ten semifinal right here in Chicago at the United Center. We'll be back in just
Barrio Tacos is now open right in the heart of the Ohio State campus at 15th and High. Serving tacos and margaritas late night each night, Barrio has an incredible happy hour with half-off margs at $1 off tacos weekdays from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Don't forget, Barrio accepts Buck ID and is offering to-go and DoorDash. You can also catch Barrio Tacos inside the shoe during game days at Section 10A and at their taco truck Mondays to Fridays, parked right outside the RPAC.
Tune into the Block O Show, presented by Barrio Tacos, for an inside look at the 2022-23 Ohio State football season. Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio team of football broadcasters previews each week of the Buckeyes football season, featuring opposing reporters from student journalists across the country. Listen to the Block O Show, presented by Barrio Tacos, every Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time on the Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio Podcast Network.
Hi, this is Caleb Spinner.
And this is Tyler Danberg.
Together, we co-host the Ohio State of Mind, Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio's podcast covering all things Ohio State athletics. Join us Mondays and Fridays as we recap and preview every Ohio State sporting event from the past week.
We also talk to current and former Buckeye athletes in our interview series Behind the Buckeye. Follow the Ohio State of Mind on Twitter at State of Mind OSU for more information on the show.
We hope to see you there, but for now, that's the ad. We're out of here.
Hey, Buckeye fans, Zachary Rodier here, the podcast coordinator for Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio. Here to tell you that if you want to listen to post-game coverage of your favorite Ohio State athletics, make sure you subscribe and listen to SGSR Recap, where post-game coverage of all the big games, including football, big hockey, basketball, and everything around will be on SGSR Recap in case you miss post-game live on Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio. So make sure you listen to SGSR Recap on your favorite listening platform on the Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio Podcast Network.
Hey Buckeye fans, this is
Number 1 seeded Purdue leads number 13 Ohio State 49-38 here in the second half of the Big Ten semifinal at the United Center in Chicago. 15:38 to go in this second half. Alongside Sara Sharp, I'm Caleb Spinner. Thanks so much for tuning in on SGSR TV and all week long since Wednesday on Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio and SGSR TV. Ohio State trying to punch their ticket to play the winner of Indiana and Penn State, the game following this one. Meanwhile, Purdue, they're playing their second game of this tournament. They're looking to take their favored stance as the Big Ten champions. Shot for three, no good from Morton. Rebound goes to Purdue. It was hauled in by Edey. Who else? But now knocked out of bounds is the ball going baseline underneath the Purdue basket. They'll say the ball stays with Purdue.
Bit of a scramble there, and Purdue was pretty adamant that it was off of Ohio State, and it looks like it was off of Ohio State's Felix Okpara is what they're going to say.
And if not Okpara, I know likely had a hand on it as well beforehand. But definitely off a Scarlet uniform, no doubt. Morton will toss it in under his basket at the baseline. Kicks it into Newman on the right side corner. Back out to the wing, now to the point. Braden Smith, hands off to Gillis. Gillis back to Newman on the left side wing. Braden Smith drives over right side, kicks it back to that left side wing with Newman. Newman spins around, takes the shot from the high point at the Big Ten logo, and it drops 51-38. 14:57 to go in the game. Purdue leading Ohio State.
Purdue has just been the hot team on offense. They cannot miss. Ohio State cannot hit anything.
Likely dribbles over from his right to left, following the pattern of the three-point arc. Gets all the way to the corner and then kicks out to Roddy Gale Jr. Gale Jr. steps in and takes a shot from the middle of the lane that falls. First points in a long time for Ohio State. They still trail Purdue by 11, 51-40, with 14:33 to go and counting down.
Ready.
Smith over to Gillis. Newman at the left side wing. Back out to Smith. Smith drives right side. Hands off to Newman. Newman takes a shot with his foot on the line from the point and buries it again. Long two-point shot for Purdue goes down. They extend their lead now to 13, 53-40. 14-11 to go as Likely crosses the timeline left side. Dribbles over to the center, now over to the right. Hand off to McNeil. Kicks it over to Sewing. Back to Likely on the right side wing. Over to Okpara at the top of it all. Hands off to Roddy Gale Jr., who is coming over from the left side to the center. Gale Jr. defended by Braden Smith for Purdue. Over to Likely, right side wing. Likely drives in, gets over to the left block, kicks out to Sewing for three. His shot too strong. Rebound goes to Smith. Smith with a 1-on-2. He waits for his guys to come up and reinforce him. He'll pull it out beyond the three-point line. Inside to Zach Edey. The double team comes from Likely and Okpara. Out to the corner, no good on the Gillis three are the Boilermakers. And back to Likely. Likely dribbling in right side. The entire Purdue team was waiting for him. They got back on defense really quickly. And now they'll kick it out to the center logo. Gale Jr. takes a minute before driving in right side. He had it denied. Goes over to the wing, now back to the point. Drives in right block, goes underneath the basket at the baseline. Pulls up from the left side. Goes too strong off another hard shot. Rebound goes to the Boilermakers. Morton hauls it in.
Ohio State just struggling on offense right now. They can't beat the Purdue defense.
53-40. Purdue leads Ohio State with under 13 minutes to go in the game, and there's a two-handed throwdown from the wide-open Zach Edey. Nobody in the black painted block to grab him, and he flushes it down. 15 is the Purdue advantage as Ohio State tries to get some much-needed points. Likely dumps it into Okpara. Okpara against Edey down and gets something to go. No, it'll go off. It looked like it went in, just touching nothing but the rim. But they'll call it a miss. Purdue the other way. In a lob to Edey, does not go through. And that'll be out of bounds. Ohio State was last to touch it according to the officials. And we'll get some substitutions here for both squads.
And it looks like they're going to call a foul on Felix Okpara on that scram. He now has 3 as well. And he is going to be subbed out for the Buckeyes. Eugene Brown III, also with 3 fouls, is going to come in for him instead. And again on that dunk by Edey, wide open, nobody on him, huge miscommunication. The Buckeyes right now have no energy.
Ohio State on a 2-minute, 17-second scoring drought as they trail Purdue 55-40 with 12:24 to go in the second half of this Big Ten semifinal at the United Center in Chicago, Illinois. At the logo right now for the Boilermakers, David Jenkins Jr. Jenkins Jr. drives right side, pulls up from the block. It won't fall. Rebound was bobbled for a moment and then kicked out of bounds by First.
And the Buckeyes now down 15 as they did have the lead in the first half, but their scoring has not been going well since that lead. Bruce Thornton again has no points for Ohio State. He's had almost 20 points in most of his last few games in the regular season and in the tournament.
Bruce Thornton with it going right side. Gets to the wing, drives into the painted area. Now pulls back out to Likely. Likely back to Thornton for 3. He got it to go.
And he must have heard me talking about him having 0 points. There's 3 crucial points for Ohio State and somebody you want to get hot, get confident, score some more points.
Ohio State cuts into the Purdue lead, but they still trail by 12, 55-43. 11:35 to go in the game. Inside of the paint, Zach Edey, no good on his hook shot. Rebound goes to the Buckeyes. Hauled down by Eugene Brown, gets it over to Likely. Likely goes underneath the paint as a Purdue Boilermaker hits the wood. Rebound goes to Zach Edey off the missed shot from Ohio State in close. 55-43, 11:17 to go, counting down as Purdue crosses the timeline. This is once again in the hands of David Jenkins Jr. Inside to Edey off the feed from Lawyer. Edey's first shot won't go, but he gets his own rebound and throws down the second chance points.
And a big difference now, Edey had 1 rebound after the first half. He now has 6 total, so they've allowed him to have 5 rebounds just in the second half.
57-43, number 1 seed Purdue over number 13 seed Ohio State. 10:50 to go in the second half. Isaac Likely at the point, guarded by Newman. Likely drives into the middle of the paint and puts up a prayer. He does not make it. He was defended hard by Newman. Jenkins Jr. crosses the line at center court. Over to the left side First, guarded by Sewing at the left wing. Out to Edey. Edey beyond the three-point arc. He's not there often. Kicks it over. A few passes later gets to First, and now back to Edey in the paint, his comfort zone. He'll be fouled once again. Ohio State cannot stop fouling the big man, number 15.
And again, too, Eugene Brown III went out and hedged on the outside screen and then had to rush back to try to defend Edey and got turned around behind him and allowed Edey to front and post him up. And that made it harder for Eugene Brown to defend him, and Tanner Holden tried to come in and help and bailed Edey out.
Timeout on the floor, we'll take one as well. 10:19 to go in the Big Ten semifinal between Ohio State and Purdue. Boilermakers lead the Buckeyes by 14, 57-43 on SGSR TV.
Barrio Tacos is now open right in the heart of the Ohio State campus at 15th and High. Serving tacos and margaritas late night each night, Barrio has an incredible happy hour with half-off margs and $1 off tacos weekdays from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Don't forget, Barrio accepts Buck ID and is offering to-go and DoorDash. You can also catch Barrio Tacos inside the shoe during game days at Section 10A and at their taco truck Mondays to Fridays, parked right outside the RPAC.
Tune into the Block O Show presented by Barrio Tacos for an inside look at the 2022-23 Ohio State football season. Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio team of football broadcasters previews each week of the Buckeyes football season, featuring opposing reporters from student journalists across the country. Listen to the Block O Show, presented by Barrio Tacos, every Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time on the Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio Podcast Network.
Hi, this is Caleb Spinner.
And this is Tyler Danberg.
Together, we co-host the Ohio State of Mind, Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio's podcast covering all things Ohio State athletics. Join us Mondays and Fridays as we recap and preview every Ohio State sporting event from the past week.
We also talk to current and former Buckeye athletes in our interview series Behind the Buckeye. Follow the Ohio State of Mind on Twitter at State of Mind OSU for more information on the show.
We hope to see you there, but for now, that's the ad. We're out of here.
Hey, Buckeye fans, Zachary Rodier here, the podcast coordinator for Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio. Here to tell you that if you want to listen to post-game coverage of your favorite Ohio State athletics, make sure you subscribe and listen to SGSR Recap, where post-game coverage of all the big games, including football, big hockey, basketball, and everything around will be on SGSR Recap in case you miss post-game live on Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio. So make sure you listen to SGSR Recap on your favorite listening platform on the Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio podcast.
Back inside the United Center in Chicago, Illinois, here on SGSR TV for the Big Ten semifinal between the number 13 Ohio State Buckeyes and the number 1 Purdue Boilermakers. Alongside Sara Sharp, I'm Caleb Spinner. Thanks so much for tuning in. Ohio State, they need to do a lot if they want to punch their ticket to the Big Ten championship tomorrow. Meanwhile, Purdue, full steam ahead for the Boilermakers. They lead by 14, 57-43 with 10:19 to go in the half. But I think the biggest thing you look here, Sarah, aside from the free throw percentage, 33% for Ohio State to 63 for the Boilermakers, you look at the rebounding battle, 27-17 in favor of Purdue, and a lot of those off of the hands of Zach Edey.
They are, and Ohio State was actually leading in rebounds in the first half.
Tanner Holden hauls down a rebound off a missed shot from Purdue's Lawyer. Over to Thornton now. Thornton at the Big Ten logo, goes to the right side, kicks to McNeil. McNeil a few steps shy of the right side arc. He gets it into the paint to Justice Suing. Suing turns around, takes a mid-range jumper on first. Rebound hauled in, back out to McNeil. Another shot, this time from further out. It's good for 3.
And great hustle by Tanner Holden to pull that rebound down and kick it out to Suing for the three-pointer.
57-46, Ohio State trailing by 11. 9:40 to go in this game. Hand off to Lawyer. Lawyer dribbles over to his right, kicks it over left side to First. First gets it inside of the middle of the paint. Back over now to Kaufman-Brang. Called in by First once again off a missed shot inside. Thornton goes out to challenge a shot from Jensen Jr. at the three-point line. And we'll get a whistle here. It looks to be another Ohio State foul.
And that one, it looks like, might go against Eugene Brown, who would now have 4 fouls if he does get this foul caught on him, and he is not happy about it.
Nor should he be. Ohio State already running low on their guards as Bryce Sensabaugh went out yesterday, did not play against Michigan State with knee soreness, and is now declared out for the season, however long that may be, whether today or tomorrow or into the March Madness tournament. Ohio State's defense holds Purdue to no points there. 57-46, though, they still trail the Boilermakers with 9:05 to go in the second half. Eugene Brown at the point. Swings it over to Holden, right side. And now we'll get a foul against Purdue. It'll go against Jenkins Jr. It's his second of the game.
And Eugene Brown is going to be subbed out for Okpara now, which was pretty much assumed. Okpara, though, also has 3 fouls, so he needs to be careful defending for the rest of this half.
And now a flip of the script here. Purdue is suffering an over 2-minute scoring drought. 1 of their last 8 and 0 for their last 4. Ohio State looking to take offensive advantage of that. Okpara gives a screen to McNeil, who goes over left side. His three-pointer in and out. Falls into the hands, the rebound does, to First. 8:42 to go. Purdue across the timeline, going right to left on offense. Jenkins Jr. drives over from right to left, kicks it out to First at the point. Back over right side to Newman. Inside of the paint to Kaufman-Renn. Kaufman-Renn, 2 dribbles to the center of the lane. Puts up a hook. It falls out off the heel of the cup. Rebound goes to Felix Okpara. Gets it over immediately to Thornton. 8:20 to go in the game. Purdue leading Ohio State 57-46. The number 1 seed leads the 13 seed by 11. Right side wing now, Justice Suing goes over to the left side, drives down the lane. He'll get fouled before his shot goes up. It'll say on the floor.
And it looks like here now fouls 6 for Ohio State, 5 for Purdue in this second half. So Ohio State still leading, has struggled with foul trouble so far, but it's starting to even out more.
And the foul goes against Caleb First. And ironically, with his last name, it's his first of the game. Newman checks out. In from Morton for Purdue. Inbounds from the baseline goes out to Justice Suing from the hands of Bruce Thornton. Suing drives left side wing, and he's fouled once again on another drive, similar to the last play, but this one is going to go to the line as it's on the shot.
And Ohio State has only shot 3 free throws so far this game. It's the same numbers as we talked about earlier, 8 for Purdue, 3 for Ohio State. So another opportunity, and a rare opportunity for the Buckeyes to go to the line.
And keeping in pattern with that last foul, it once again goes against Caleb First. It's now his second. Suing at the line for 2, takes a few dribbles and then puts his eyes on the cup. Buries the first free throw. He'll get one more as Edey checks in for First, who heads out once again with 2 fouls.
And Ohio State hasn't had a lot of opportunities from the line, but if they're going to more in the second half, they have to execute and get points.
Suing would have double-digit points if he makes this one. Indeed, he does. 48-57. Ohio State to Purdue. 8:03 to go in the game. Ohio State in a full court press defensively. Purdue back with it in their own end. And a timeout called by Coach Matt Painter, as his guys were probably, the way that was looking up, we're not going to make the 10-second call.
And it looks like I think they're going to also call a foul on Tanner Holden, too, on his defense there. Holden has not scored so far in this game, but he's been hustling. He has 4 rebounds and 2 assists, but that is also going to be his second foul.
Scoring drop goes to 3:07 for the Boilermakers. They still lead Ohio State 57-48. It's a 9-point gap between the Buckeyes and the Boilermakers. We're going to step aside here for just a moment on SGSR TV. We'll be right back with more from the United Center.
Barrio Tacos is now open right in the heart of the Ohio State campus at 15th and High. Serving tacos and margaritas late night each night, Barrio has an incredible happy hour with half-off margs and $1-off tacos weekdays from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Don't forget, Barrio accepts Buck ID and is offering to-go and DoorDash. You can also catch Barrio Tacos inside the shoe during game days at Section 10A and at their taco truck Mondays to Fridays, parked right outside the RPAC.
Tune into the Block O Show, presented by Barrio Tacos, for an inside look at the 2022-23 Ohio State football season. Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio team of football broadcasters previews each week of the Buckeyes football season, featuring opposing reporters from student journalists across the country. Listen to the Block O Show, presented by Barrio Tacos, every Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time on the Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio Podcast Network.
Hi, this is Caleb Spinner.
And this is Tyler Danberg.
Together, we co-host the Ohio State of Mind, Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio's podcast covering all things Ohio State athletics. Join us Mondays and Fridays as we recap and preview every Ohio State sporting event from the past week.
We also talk to current and former Buckeye athletes in our interview series Behind the Buckeye. Follow the Ohio State of Mind on Twitter at State of...
Back inside the United Center here in Chicago, alongside Sara Sharp, I'm Caleb Spinner. Thanks so much for tuning in once again to our coverage of the Big Ten men's basketball tournament here at the United Center. And Sarah, I know we were looking at the box score here as we were going along. A lot of discussion we've been having about the foul differences between Ohio State and Purdue, and you had an observation over the break.
Yeah, absolutely. Ohio State now has 1 player with 4 fouls, 2 players with 3 fouls, and another 3 players with 2. And Purdue has not a single player over 2 fouls. So the calling's been a little bit lopsided, and Ohio State has definitely struggled in that area, and that's been a huge key for Purdue because a lot of Ohio State players are now being sat on the bench who you would want to have out on the court, but you can't with the amount of fouls that they have.
Certainly those fouls are one of the big reasons, one of many reasons why Ohio State trails Purdue right now, 57-48 with 7:57 to go. Zach Edey has been untouchable for the Boilermakers. It seems like every time he gets the ball, he either scores or he's fouled, and that leads to the points then on the other end about 50% of the time so far at the charity stripe.
It does, and fouled but never fouls. He has 0 fouls for Purdue right now. They have 4 players with 2 and a few with 1, and he is not one of them.
23 points in 27 minutes for the 7'4" Zach Edey. Free throw off the mark for Purdue. They fail to take the 10-point lead once again. They've had it earlier, but now Ohio State trying to take advantage of a single-digit scoring gap. As Thornton goes over to his right side. He's defended tightly by Morton, kisses it off the glass, drops in a 2 to put this game within 7, 57-50, with 7:40 to go in the game.
Great move by Thornton to not be intimidated by Zach Edey coming up and trying to defend him, still executes the shot.
Lawyer lobs it into Edey. Who else with the post hook? That falls as well. 59-50, Ohio State trailing Purdue with 7:23 to go. Suing. Left-hand dribble, gets past Gillis to the wing. Suing keeps on going to the block, and he lost it. Hands in the air, his body language showed that he wanted that back as it just slipped out of his hand and went out of bounds to the baseline. Gillis will toss it in for Purdue.
And I think Suing there was thinking he had an open player on that left wing. He was going to try to swing the pass to him, and it just came out of his hands a little too soon.
A chance here for Purdue to go back to a double figures advantage. They lead 59-50 with 7:03 to go in the game. Morton for 3. Took it too strong, went off the far side of the basket. Thornton with it the other way. Crosses the equator. Guarded by Morton defensively for Purdue. Over to the left side, and that'll be a foul on Morton. Morton will pick up his first of the game.
And Purdue is in the bonus right now as Ohio State has 7 fouls, and that should be the 7th foul on Purdue, which will put Ohio State in the bonus and Bruce Thornton at the line.
So the Buckeyes will get free throws out of this. A 1-and-1 chance for Thornton here. Morton checks out.
Thornton's first opportunity at the line as Ohio State has still only shot 5 free throws.
And it's a miss for Thornton at the charity stripe. Hauled in is the rebound by Zach Edey. Over to Smith now. He's picked up defensively by Thornton at the half-court line. Hand off to Lawyer. Fletcher Lawyer, left hand dribbling against Suing. Goes over to the left side, gets to the block, and then has to pull back. Over to Gillis, inside to Edey. Edey turns around, tried to put up a shot, but a foul on Okpara.
Now Ohio State not happy with that call. Okpara seemed to have been playing clean defense. He has the armbar in on Edey's back, puts his hands up for the shot, and is still called on the foul. His 4th foul. Oh, looks like he just a little bit hits the hand of Zach Edey there as he went up to shoot. He and Brown now both at 4.
Okpara was swiping that right hand, trying to get a block. It wasn't by much, but enough to warrant the foul call, and Edey buries his first at the line.
And Okpara played such good defense throughout that entire set and then just bailed Edey out right at the last second.
60-50, the Boilermaker lead, pending another free throw here from Zach Edey. Edey 4 of 7 from the free throw line, now make it 5 of 8. 61-50, Purdue 11 points ahead of Ohio State with 6:22 to go and counting down in the second half of this Big Ten men's basketball tournament semifinal. Thornton pulls the trigger from 3 on the left side wing, and he's going to get fouled. It's a late whistle. It looks to go against Newman. And it is. It'll be his 3rd of the game.
Thornton right now 0 for 1 from the free throw line. He is now going to have the opportunity to possibly hit 3.
Big free throws here from Thornton, who came up empty on his last trip to the line.
And Thornton again only has 5 points right now, usually in the double digits by this time at least.
First free throw of this trip good for Bruce Thornton. It puts the lead back to 10. 61-51, number 1 Purdue over number 13 Ohio State. Second free throw ends the same way, a make for the Buckeyes. Thornton back now to 2 for 3 at the charity stripe, pending 1 more.
And the Buckeyes now 8 free throws shot, Purdue 11.
Off the mark on the second, but the Buckeyes get the rebound back, on the 3rd free throw. It's back out to Thornton, a few passes around the wing later. Thornton Goes in left side. He's crowded by Akpara, who came out for the screen. Gets all the way to the right block and buries that one. Turned around and got it to go on the double team of Newman and Gillis.
Bruce Thornton starting to get hot. Now 9 points, itching at his double digits.
61-54. Purdue still ahead of Ohio State, but the Buckeye fans starting to get loud. Akpara denies Edey a shot, and they'll call a foul against Purdue.
And that one against Edey, number 15, and his first foul of the game coming down for that rebound.
And you could hear it. Ohio State fans took a deep breath in, waiting to hear who the whistle was against, because more often than not, it's against their guys. But for the first time today, it goes against Edey.
It has been. Usually it's Akpara down low who is getting called on that foul, but decided there to call the foul against Edey, and a good call.
First shots at the line for Felix Akpara. It's a 1-and-1, and he gets the second. Got the first one, earned another shot.
And how intimidating is it for a freshman like Akpara not only to have to play against the Big Ten Player of the Year, but also play in this atmosphere with all these fans around and shoot these free throws?
Akpara, no good off the front of the rim. The lead is 6 for the Boilermakers, 61-55. 5:38 to go. Smith slows down the dribble, goes over to his right, kicks it to Fletcher Lawyer. Lawyer left side, no call as Gale goes sliding. He was defending Newman. Inside to Edey. Edey turns around with the right hand. He's off the mark once again. Guarded by Sean McNeil, and there are several inches the wrong way in that height battle for the Buckeye graduate. Thornton back with it now. Pulls up in the middle of the lane at the Big Ten logo. No good on the shot rebound, Zach Edey.
Edey grabs another rebound. That is his 9th, and he has had 8 of those in the second half.
One shy of a double-double. He's got 27 points as well. Foul inside, looks to be against Ohio State, and indeed it is. It'll send Zach Edey to the line for yet again more free throws.
And that is a foul on Bruce Thornton. That gives him his first foul, so that means every single player for Ohio State that has been on this court today has at least one foul.
And with those misses recently from Zach Edey, the field goal percentages have gone even at 45. Remember, it was 59-50 at the start of this half in favor of Purdue.
And I hate to say it too with the fouls, but if you want it to be on anybody right now, you want it to be on Bruce Thornton, as he did have 0 beforehand. So if the foul's going to be called, that's the best person to call it on.
Edey drops in the first of the 1-and-1, puts the lead 62-55 in favor of Purdue. A tick under 5 minutes to go in this Big Ten semifinal, the first of 2 today. Coming up after this, it's Indiana and Penn State.
And Edey now, Purdue has shot 13 free throws, and he has shot 10 of them alone by himself.
Edey, good on the second, 63-55 is the gap between number 1 Purdue and number 13 Ohio State. The Buckeyes looking to continue what would be a historic run. They're already the highest seed to advance to a Big Ten semifinal in the history of the tournament. Gale crosses over from left to right side, gets into the right block, lost his dribble, picked it up underneath the basket to the baseline. Over to the corner, Sewing from the corner took a 3, and it went off the side of the backboard. Wide miss there from Sewing on his 3-point shot.
And that rebound by Edey will give him a double-double for the game.
63-55, Purdue over Ohio State as Smith drives the lane and kisses it off the glass. Off the top corner of the square, 65-55, Purdue back in front by 10, and Thornton will call a timeout to slow things down. Every fan in attendance in black and gold on their feet right now, as their guys are only 4 minutes and 5 seconds away from punching their ticket to the Big Ten Championship. We're going to step aside here on SGSR TV only for a moment. We'll be back with more action at the United Center. 65-55, Purdue.
Barrio Tacos is now open right in the heart of the Ohio State campus at 15th and High. Serving tacos and margaritas late night each night, Barrio has an incredible happy hour with half-off margs and $1-off tacos weekdays from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Don't forget, Barrio accepts Buck ID and is offering to-go and DoorDash. You can also catch Barrio Tacos inside the shoe during game days at Section 10A and at their taco truck Mondays to Fridays, parked right outside the RPAC.
Tune into the Block O Show, presented by Barrio Tacos, for an inside look at the 2022-23 Ohio State football season. Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio team of football broadcasters previews each week of the Buckeyes football season, featuring opposing reporters from student journalists across the country. Listen to the Block O Show, presented by Barrio Tacos, every Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time on the Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio Podcast Network.
Hi, this is Caleb Spinner.
And this is Tyler Danberg.
Together, we co-host the Ohio State of Mind, Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio's podcast covering all things Ohio State athletics. Join us Mondays and Fridays as we recap and preview every Ohio State sporting event from the past week.
We also talk to current and former Buckeye athletes in our interview series Behind the Buckeye. Follow the Ohio State of Mind on Twitter at State of Mind OSU for more information on the show.
We hope to see you there, but for now, that's the ad. We're out of here.
Hey, Buckeye fans, Zachary Rodier here, the podcast coordinator for Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio, here to tell you that if you want to listen to post-game coverage of your favorite Ohio State athletics, make sure you subscribe and listen to SGSR Recap, where post-game coverage of all the big games, including football, big hockey, basketball, and everything around, will be on SGSR Recap in case you miss post-game live on Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio. So make sure you listen to SGSR Recap on your favorite listening platform on the Scarlet and Gray Sports Radio Podcast Network.
Hey Buckeye fans, this is Patrick Engels, president of the Sports and Society Initiative Student Club. Are you interested in pursuing a career in sports and hearing from professionals who work in the sports industry? If so, then come find us in
Back at the United Center in Chicago on SGSR TV, Ohio State trails by 10 to the Purdue Boilermakers 65-55 with 4:05 to go in the game. Alongside Sara Sharp, I'm Caleb Spinner. Thanks so much for covering all week with us here at this Big Ten men's basketball tournament since Wednesday. And I think it's fair to say we did not expect to be here this late in the week. Ohio State comes in with a losing record overall, a losing record in the conference, and then pulls out this incredible Cinderella run, which looks to be slowly coming to an end if Purdue is able to hold on to this lead. The Boilermakers have been impressive, particularly at the free throw line and drawing fouls against the Buckeyes. Under 4 minutes to go here, Thornton on the left side wing. No call as Sewing hits the deck against Morton, and there's the call as Morton got back up and ran into the back of Sewing.
And again, like you said, the no call to begin with. Sewing was expecting a call as they both went crashing to the ground, didn't get it, and then as he tried to grab the pass, he was fouled.
So Sewing will head to the line off the foul from Morton. It's his second. Ohio State, though, defensively, they've been on a tear for this last bit. 2 of 10 in Purdue from their last 10 shots.
They have been, and also you said sending Sewing to the line here now puts Ohio State in the double bonus as Purdue now has 10 fouls. Ohio State with 9, so very high fouling game so far.
Zach Edey, 29 points on 32 minutes. He is having himself, even though it's only their second game of the tournament, the best game of his tournament. He was held to a minimal yesterday against Rutgers, but it's not. He's been unsolvable for Ohio State to this point.
He has been. He had 16 points yesterday in the game against Rutgers. So as Austin and I talked about in the pregame, 16 points sounds insane, but when you're Zach Edey, that's a low-scoring game. And today he has made up for it with his 29 points and his 10 rebounds. He is beneath his rebounding average, as he does average over 12, but now he still has 4 minutes to do it, and he could reach that average as well or go above it.
And 7 of those points coming at the charity stripe. He's 70% from the free throw line. Turned what was a 50% plus 20 now at this point, and that's what you want as this game's going to get into crunch time. You're going to want your best free throw shooter, or at least your best scorer, hitting the best he's had from the game, from the free throw line as we get into this one. Another big one to look at here on Ohio State side, Felix Agpara. 4 personal fouls, 1 away from fouling out of this game. And if that's the case, without Agpara, without Key, you're down your 2 tallest players on the team.
guard. And then Eugene Brown as well, who's been subbing in and out for Okpara, also has 4 rebounds. So if Okpara comes out here, assuming he's going to come out again, no point in sitting him now. You have 4 minutes left in the game. So he's going to come out, he'll play. If he happens to foul out, Brown will come in to defend Edie most likely, but he also has 4 fouls. So then after that, it might go back to the situation of Ice likely or another one of your smaller guards having to defend against Edie, and we saw that that did not go well for the Buckeyes in the first half.
Something, though, positive for Ohio State, and I'll point this out, is the rebounding totals. They've drawn closer as well. You'll remember the last time we talked about it, it was 27-17 in favor of Purdue. It's now 33-25 in favor of the Boilermakers. So just by a little bit there, still almost that 10-point gap, but still, at this point, if you're an Ohio State fan, you got to look at the few things that they've been doing right against Purdue, and then you got to realize it's Purdue.
And the biggest reason why that rebounding has gone from Ohio State leading in the first half to Purdue leading now is Zach Edey. Again, he had 1 rebound in the first half, which allowed Ohio State to dominate on the boards, and he's had 9 alone by himself of the 33 for Purdue in the second half to give him 10 total. So that's your biggest reason why Purdue is now leading in rebounds.
Boilermakers fans on their feet, Ohio State fans taking in a deep breath as we enter crunch time in this Big Ten semifinal. Purdue 65, Ohio State 55, 3:53 to go in the second half as Sewing takes the first of 2 and makes that one at the free throw line.
And again, as you said, first of 2 now because they are in the double bonus, which means Sewing has the opportunity, no matter what, to shoot 2 free throws.
10 team fouls in this half for Purdue compared to 9 for Ohio State. Sewing, his second free throw drops as well. 2 much needed points for the Buckeyes right there. It's now 65-57 in favor of Purdue. Ball in the hands right now of Braden Smith. Smith double teamed by Thornton and Sewing. Got it over to Gillis for some much needed relief. Now back out to Smith. He's guarded one-on-one by Thornton. Kicks it over to the left side. Zach Edey on the left side wing. And we'll get a foul against Ohio State that looks to be against Sewing. That is the last thing, or one of the last things I should say, as there are many that Ohio State needs as they try to come back from this one.
And Sewing now, that'll be his 3rd foul, so not quite out of 4. He has a few more to give, but that is going to give the opportunity for Purdue to now be in the double bonus, as well as that is Ohio State's 10th foul, and they will get to shoot 2 free throws no matter what.
Floor cleaners come on to clean the spot where both of the players hit the deck. I keep saying ice. My mind is on the Big Ten semifinal, the other one, between Ohio State men's hockey and Michigan hockey as well. We'll have an SGSR crew up there calling that as well later tonight. First free throw good, 66-57 Purdue. 3:34 to go in the game as another one drops for Braden Smith. 10-point lead for the Boilermakers. 3:34, clock stopped and now resumes as the ball is tossed in from Sewing to Thornton underneath the basket on their side of the floor. Newman guarding Thornton. Thornton drives in left side, pulls back out to the wing. Okpara comes over for the screen. Thornton waves him off, gets it over to the wing for Sewing on the right side. His 3-pointer will not fall. Edey hauls in the board and kicks it over to point. Smith with it now left side.
And not a single Ohio State player was in there for the rebound. It was all Boilermakers.
Edey sets a screen that sets up the mismatch between Okpara and Smith. Over to the corner for Newman. He hits a 3. 13-point lead for the Boilermakers, 70-57. 2:49 to go and counting down. Roddy Gale Jr. drives in left side, kicks it out to the corner. Once again, Sewing for 3. Too short, bounced twice on the rim before deciding to fall out. And once again, rebound to Edey, and once again, kicked over to Smith.
And the Buckeyes right now are not rebounding at all. They're shooting no offensive rebounds and giving Edey his 12 rebounds as well.
Smith drives in. He kicked it over as he got to the block left side to Edey. He expected Edey to be trailing him. He was not. Edey hauls in the missed 3-point shot from Newman and puts up a foul and one.
And that foul is going to be on Felix Okpara, it looks like.
That's his 5th.
That is his 5th. So he will foul out.
So if Ohio State's going to overcome this now 15-point gap, they got to do it without their tallest player. And it looks like Ohio State fans realizing that and filing towards the exits.
Well, Zach Edey over his 12.8 average. He now has 13 rebounds and again has shot 10 of the 15 free throws for the Boilermakers.
There's a reason he's a favorite for the Naismith Player of the Year. Thornton gets the ball in from Sewing underneath the basket. 2:15 to go as Thornton crosses the timeline. He's picked up at the center logo by Newman. Between the legs dribble, goes to the right elbow, pulls back out, a three from Eugene Brown, much needed. It falls. And cuts the lead to 13 for Purdue.
And not somebody you would expect to see shoot that three-pointer as often, Eugene Brown. That gives him 5 points. He's 2 for 2 from field goal range and 1 for 3 from the three-point line.
Brown himself is in foul trouble with 4 fouls to his name. And we'll get a timeout here. Purdue, if they're able to hold on to this 13-point gap with only 2 minutes to go in the game, they would play the winner of number 3 Indiana and number 10 Penn State. There's the possibility there for the Ohio State-Michigan equivalent of the rivalry for Purdue to happen between their in-state rivals, Indiana.
And that would be a big one, too, especially if Penn State is able to pull off the win, as they are a higher seed as well. So if they win and make it to the championship to play against Purdue, that'll be a huge matchup.
I'll tell you what, just a general observation. When Ohio State is on the floor, this has been the quietest the building has been in all 4 days that we've been here.
It has been, and it's hard because Ohio State came in here and many people didn't expect them to make it as far as they have now, and it also is a greater distance than many of these teams like Purdue have, so not traveling as well with their fans.
13-point lead for Purdue with 2 minutes to go. Sewing tried to get the intentional foul on Smith, could not. Now Smith at the center logo at half court. He's guarded by Thornton all the way up, several feet beyond the three-point line. Finally gets closer to the rainbow. Tossed into Edey, broken up. Thornton keeps it alive as he dives from the baseline to toss it into Eugene Brown. Brown gets it over to the left side in front of the scorer's table for Sewing. Sewing drives in, and he's fouled as he goes under the basket by Mason Gillis. This will be Gillis' second foul.
Again,
send Sewing to the line.
And again, the fouls in this game have just been incredible. 11 fouls for both teams now. Justice Sewing up to shoot. He is 4 for 4 perfect from the free throw line, looking to continue that.
Minute 31 to go in this game as Sewing takes the first of 2 at the line, buries that one. 73-61, 12-point gap between the Boilermakers and Buckeyes.
Sewing now 5 for 5 as he goes up to shoot his second shot.
4 dribbles, turns his eyes to the cup, buries the second one, similar to the first. Gillis tosses it into Smith. Smith immediately picked up, double team in front of the Ohio State bench. Tosses over to Gillis. Purdue has yet to get it across the equator, and they finally do. Newman drives in right side, takes this himself, waves off Edey, who was calling for it. And it's a good decision as he converts the 2 inside close to the basket.
And the Buckeyes played such good backcourt defense, almost drawing the 10 seconds and then just gave it up at the end.
75-62, minute 5 to go. Ohio State gets a much needed bucket there off of Roddy Gale, but it might be too little too late as we enter the final 60 seconds of this game. Purdue ahead by 11. Across the timeline once again to a wide open Newman. Newman holding on to it. He was looking to call for a timeout. It didn't look like the officials saw him. And then finally, Ohio State fouls him to stop the play at 52.5 ticks left on the clock. 75-64. Purdue fans starting to realize that they're going to book their hotel 1 day longer to go to Sunday at the championship.
And it's not over till it's over, but it's looking pretty close right here. And the Buckeyes need to be careful who they're going to have foul Purdue now, as so many of their players are in foul trouble. But it could be Thornton, who just got his second foul. They called him, or Roddy Gale Jr., who only has 1. So your 2 players who are on the court who you will probably expect to foul, because Sewing and McNeil both have 3. And Eugene Brown with 4.
Less of an optimal situation too, but McNeil and Sewing also have 2 fouls to give before they're out. They could afford 1 apiece. Missed free throw there from Purdue. Thornton, right side, drives in, contested past Gillis, it's no good. 12-point lead for Purdue. 40 seconds to go. Big Ten semifinal. The foul against Roddy Gale goes against, looks like Mason Gillis, who now hits the deck and is flexing his arm. It looks like he hit his elbow on the court, which I don't know if your experience of hardwood, but it's not a soft surface to land on.
No, it is not. And both Gale and Gillis were slow to stand up there, and Roddy Gale Jr. not happy.
Gale Jr. picks up his second foul of the game, and it sends Mason Gillis to the line. Purdue already with defenders on the other side of the floor. Smith is at half court, so is Lawyer.
And Gillis there had 20 points yesterday against Rutgers, and this is his first point of the game from the free throw line with that first shot.
77-64, Purdue over Ohio State. Number 1 seed over number 13. They're in the Big Ten semifinal. 38.9 to go in the game. Second free throw good. The lead is 14 for Purdue. The Boilermakers, 4 of their last 5. They have turned it on late and never looked back. Eugene Brown off the mark on his two-handed slam, but he'll be fouled in the act of throwing it down. It looks to go against Lawyer, judging solely from body language.
Nice pass by Sean McNeil down low to the left block for Eugene Brown. Brown tried to put it up for a dunk, it looked like, lost it and drew the foul. So he will now have the opportunity to go to the line and shoot his first free throws.
It'll go as the third foul to Caleb First, as he made contact before the ball fell into the hands of Fletcher Lawyer. Edey will check in for First, as Eugene Brown takes the first of these 2 at the line.
And fans were cheering as Edey left the game from his last sub out, I think assuming that he was done for the game, but he's back in now for the Boilermakers.
Zach Edey, a tournament high 32 points in 35 minutes, was in top fashion tonight, as with half a minute to go and a 13-point gap after that free throw from Eugene Brown, it looks like the Boilermakers will go on to play in the championship tomorrow. Second free throw is good. Eugene Brown goes 2 for 2 at that trip to the charity stripe. Purdue gets the ball in from their baseline. Mason Gillis was double teamed. Pass goes over to Lawyer and now to Smith as the ball crosses the timeline.
But it doesn't quite cross enough, as it looks like one ref is going to call a 10-second violation on Purdue, so it will be Ohio State ball.
12-point gap with 20 seconds left. And at this point, you're playing to make this loss look as pretty as possible. Maybe get a 3. And just as I say it, the inbound is stolen away by Newman. And then as he tried to get the ball back, Thornton was fouled against Newman. And this will send Purdue to the line with 19.8 to go.
And Ohio State played such strong defense in the backcourt to get that 10-second violation. And Justice Ewing tried to throw it into Bruce Thornton. Didn't throw the greatest pass, and Thornton went up to fight against Newman for the ball, and they called the foul on Thornton. Even though it kind of looked like it was still in the air as they both went to grab it, it will be Thornton's third foul.
Brandon Newman at the line shooting 2. Purdue Jr. good on his first, and Edey will check out now for the final time. Replaced by Caleb First. Final stats on Edey: 32 points, 35 minutes. Hauling in 14 total rebounds there too. The double-double in his second game of the tournament, going on to play a third as well. Newman, perfect for the line, gets the second to fall. 80-66, Ohio State the other way. McNeil, deep 3 from the right side, off the mark. Rebound to Thornton, back out to McNeil at the point. Another miss from the 3-point land. Ball goes into the hands of First, and Purdue starting to cheer. 3-2, ball crosses the timeline, and that'll do it. Purdue, 80-66. The top seed Boilermakers take care of the 13 seed Ohio State. And for the Buckeyes, midnight strikes on Cinderella. Their impressive 4-day run at this tournament is over. Meanwhile, the Boilermakers will extend theirs by one more day, going to the final day of this tournament to play the winner of Penn State and Indiana.
And a solid game by both of these teams. It started out soon, and then Purdue just showed that they were the dominant team by taking the lead and stretching it out to 14 to finish the game. Once again, you talked about Zach Edey for the Boilermakers. 32 points, 14 rebounds, played a solid 35 minutes, showing why he deserves to be the Big Ten Player of the Year this year.
The Boilermakers top seed for a reason. They showed it today. Even against the 13th seed, they still looked like a contender, a favorite for a #1 overall seed in the NCAA tournament as well. Impressive year for the Boilermakers continues as they'll play once again for the Big Ten Championship tomorrow on Sunday on CBS. Final score one more time, 80-66. Purdue gets the win over Ohio State. Cinderella story comes to an end, but Ohio State, they make history as once again the highest seed to qualify for a Big Ten semifinal in the history of the tournament. That's something to go home to Columbus with and keep your heads high for.
And it is an upsetting loss for the Buckeyes, but like you said, you have to give them credit. Coming in as the 13 seed and going 3-0 in the tournament until their loss to Purdue. They played such a solid tournament these last 4 days. So you're upset because you want to make it to the finals, but you got to be happy with the performance that you came in and you performed with.
Something else as well, Ohio State's hopes at a March Madness berth did not look good going into this tournament. You put up a win against Wisconsin, you put up a win against Iowa, you put up a win against Michigan State, 12 seed, 5 seed, 4 seed respectively, and now you're in the bubble conversation. It's still a long ways off, still a low percentage shot, but Ohio State went from having no shot at the tournament to now a glimmer of hope, and we'll see that on Selection Sunday tomorrow.
And a glimmer of hope is correct because although there is slightly a chance, there would have been a much larger chance if they would have made it to the final and then won the final, because they would have gotten the opportunity, no matter what, to be in the bubble with a championship here tonight. So again, you're happy with the performance, but you're definitely upset with the loss today because it makes your chances of making it even further into the postseason very low.
And that'll do it for our coverage. All week since Wednesday, we have been grinding it out, hotel hopping, trying to stay in Chicago for this Cinderella run. Austin, get in the camera here. I wish Tyler were here for us. He started off our crew, but this has been a fantastic run. We thank you so much for tuning in each and every day of this tournament to our coverage on SGSR and SGSR TV. One final time from the United Center. We'll sign off here on SGSR TV. Ohio State falls to Purdue 80-66 here in the Big Ten semifinal. For Austin Crume, Tyler Damberg, and Sara Sharp, I'm Caleb Spinner. We'll see you next time, but for now, that's the show. We're out of here.
Barrio Tacos is now open right in the heart of the Ohio State campus at 15th and High. Serving tacos and margaritas late night each night, Barrio has an incredible happy hour with half off margs and $1 off tacos weekdays from